Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lex Outs here. It's Sunday morning. It's a Sunday special report. And I originally was going to do something on gambling in the NBA, but I was doing research and I was like, you know what? This is actually a more interesting subject, what I want to talk about now. And that is the owners of the NBA. The owners of the NBA are very interesting people. A lot of them are billionaires. And a lot of people believe billionaires shouldn't exist. And I agree with that sentiment. Often to get that amount of wealth, to get to the point where you can have $1 billion, you've done something really shady, or it was just given to you as a birthright when you were born. And the owners of the NBA teams are a mix of all of that. And I would say this: I'm not going to say all the owners are bad people, because we know for a fact that Larry Tannenbaum, the owner of the Raptors, is actually a really great humanitarian and doing all kinds of amazing good things at the same time. There's quite a few owners that are actually very good people that are doing very, very amazing things around the world, like Joe Tsai. He's another one of the Brooklyn Nets. He's a very good humanitarian who gave a lot of aid to people to help when the COVID pandemic happened. So there are good owners. I don't want to just broadly paint a brush across the NBA that all the NBA owners are absolute despicable people, because some of them are. I'm not going to lie. The person in this picture of this chat today is Donald Sterling, and he was a longtime NBA owner of the LA Clippers, and who was ousted for being a racist, very much being a horrible racist. In fact, there's stories from Baron Davis. They used to come to Clippers practice and yell the N-word at the players while they were trying to practice. So, yeah, there's some despicable people involved in the NBA. And in some ways, I want to talk about a couple of them today, and maybe talk about the counterbalance of some of the good ones too at the same time. But yeah, good morning, y'all. Thanks for watching Sunday special report on the Raptor Freak channel, 24-hour, every single day of the week, not taking any breaks. In fact, my streak is going to 1,000 this week. On Saturday, we will celebrate 1,000 straight days of Raptor Freak streams. And yeah, I'm an Iron Man like Morris Peterson, and I'm messing around. And other Raptors content makers may take days off, may take the summer off, may take a lot of periods off for whatever reason. Not me. I'm going every single day. And that's why you can depend on me every single day at 9:30 a.m. to talk some Raptors NBA with y'all. That's right. Trevor J's first in this morning. Good to see the commissioner of fun, Trevor J. Good morning, Raptors family. No matter what your struggles, wake up each morning and be very grateful that he still provides his grace and mercy on you like this on this Sunday morning. There you go. What a perfect morning to remember that we are very lucky that the Creator has allowed us to be created and be around. Whatever you believe is the Creator, whether it's Jesus, God, whoever you believe in. I believe in Mother Nature and the natural world, and that we were created by a natural force that's out there. And if you want to call it Jesus, that's fine. This is true, that every single day that we can open our eyes and wake up and walk on this earth still, we should feel blessed. And I appreciate Trevor for those words of wisdom. And on that note, we will do the classic card of the day real quick here. All right, let me see. Let me shake it up real quick to get started up for today. All right, let me see who we got. Oh, this is fun. Y'all better be ready and don't half-ass me. You better write this full name right away. And like the last card, this is too easy. This is way, way too easy. So you better have your fingers ready to type, because this one's going to be going fast. There you go. Who is that? This guy matters. This guy matters. Yes, it does. Amit got it right away. Del Curry. That's right. I don't know if Fiercey's here, but of course, this is former Raptor Del Curry, the father of Steph and Seth Curry. Yeah, we got a Del Curry card today. It seems like we got a Del and a Reggie in the last 2 days. So that's kind of cool. We're getting more well-known three-point shooters from the history. Wardell Curry. There he is, number 30 for the Charlotte Hornets, but also number 30 for the Raptors. A great, outstanding former Raptor, Del Curry. We love it. All right, Amit, you got another 100. You're closer and closer. Yeah, Fiercey's not here, so we have no idea if she would have gotten that. But good job, Amit. Good job. And we will be playing Tuesday trivia on Tuesday, so be ready for that. Good morning to you, Amit. Hope everyone is doing well. And back at you, Amit, also. Tom's saying good morning also. And let's see, we're going to pivot on the subject. We were originally going to do something on gambling, but I figured it's too soon. I want another gambling scandal to come out, and then I'll come back with a gambling Sunday report. when the next thing happens after Jonte Porter redacted, that is obviously the latest story, but there will be another one at some point, and I will revisit the gambling issue at that point. Yeah. Yeah, it's all good topics. That's right. Let's go. I'm at saying almost 3 years straight. That's crazy, Lex. Congrats. Yeah, in September, it'll be 3 years straight. Of course, 1,000 days is short of 3 years. But yeah, in September, I'll have my 3 year anniversary of doing a stream every single day for 3 years straight. That's right. It's crazy, Ahmed. I don't even know. I don't even know how I did this. I mean, I've lived my life and done everything in my life still and still done this. It's crazy. Trevor's saying, imagine if OG does not sign with the New York Knicks and they already gave up RJ and Quick. The media is going to kill them and they try to stop us from getting a WNBA team. Yeah, this is funny. Trevor J bringing up the fact that when the votes came in for the WNBA expansion team for Toronto, only one place voted against us getting a team, and that was the Knicks and James Dolan and those assholes. Yeah, they were the only dissenting vote against Toronto getting a WNBA expansion team. And it's just hater, being a hater, just like the stupid lawsuit that they put up against us. In some ways, the Knicks have a problem with the Raptors for some reason. And well, I think you're right, Trevor. This will be hilarious. If OG goes somewhere else all of a sudden this summer and the Knicks get burned for this. I mean, I honestly kind of want to see this happen. Just because, well, once again, James Dolan, he's a troublesome owner. Let's go look at James Dolan real quick. Since you brought him up, Trevor, I've got a list of the owners. I'm going to go investigate them real quick. And we're going to find out if an owner is good or not. We're going to go look at the New York Knicks and James Dolan to start off here. Now, James Dolan is 69 years old. He's from New York. He is a businessman. And let's see, how did he get his money? He is one of the 6 children of Cablevision founder Charles Dolan. So he got his money from his daddy. So he didn't earn his money himself, James Dolan. That's important to note right there. Seriously, he did not make himself. He was born into wealth, and that is how he is who he is. Now, we know that James Dolan recently built the Sphere in Las Vegas. And apparently the Grateful Dead are playing there right now. And they did a beautiful tribute to Bill Walton this weekend, which is quite nice. But yeah, James Dolan is, let's see who he likes to give money to. Sometimes that'll tell you all you need to know about whether this is a good person or not. Now, he supports pancreatic cancer research, which is a big deal. And that is actually a good thing. So I like that he's doing that. Let's see. Also, he that's really pretty much his main philanthropic thing he likes to do. He also plays a benefit concert for the victims of Hurricane Sandy back in the day. So he likes to get his band together and try and raise money for victims of hurricanes and different things like that. And let's see. He's also got his ongoing commitment to the community through the Garden of Dreams Foundation, a nonprofit charity that partners with MSG to help children facing obstacles throughout the New York metropolitan area. Now, James Dolan may be a jerk, but it sounds like in some ways his philanthropy is right on point and in a good way. Now, does it say anything about his politics? Does it say anything about him giving money to Donald Trump and stuff like that? Maybe. He has a sexual assault lawsuit. Of course, we talked about this earlier this year, that a massage therapist on tour with him and the Eagles said that he pressured her into giving him unwanted sexual intercourse when his band JD and the Straight Shots were touring with the Eagles. So he may be a little bit like Trump, a little bit more like Vince McMahon, a little bit like Harvey Weinstein, a little bit gross with the women in private. So that's something to know about that. So yeah, he likes to play music and stuff like that. And let's see. Is there anything else? Oh, he did contribute to Donald Trump's presidential reelection in 2020. So yeah, that's gross right there. So yeah, this is a kind of person that's going to give money to Donald Trump to be a dictator. That's messed up. And that's what I'm saying. These owners are pieces of garbage. In some ways, some of these owners, it's an interesting thing because the phenomena of owning a sports team is so public. You become known as a person. Like, Steve Ballmer is more well known because he owns the Clippers. We wouldn't know who the crazy ass yelling Steve Ballmer was unless he didn't own the Clippers. And in some ways, that draws a veil away from knowing who these billionaires and really very, very rich people are. In some ways, it invites them into the public eye. And a lot of these people don't like that. They don't want to be in the public eye. because in some ways they don't want people paying attention to them. They just want to have their money and be hidden away. So sometimes sports ownership isn't the best place for a really greedy Mr. Burns, real life kind of motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool in some ways that the NBA, because it's so public and we get to know these owners, we actually get to know who they are and what they're, whether they're scummy or they're good or whatever. So in some ways, owning an NBA team puts more of a spotlight on you, and your business becomes more well known. Like, for instance, nobody would know that the owner of the Detroit Pistons has invested in a company that is involved in communications at prisons. And very specifically, they did some shady ass shit, and they got in trouble for it too. And they got in between allowing prisoners to communicate with their loved ones. And it really, really heavily affected low income and minority people in the state of Michigan, because basically they did this racket. It's a racket as far as trumping up charges real high on the cost to call each other. And they didn't allow people to see each other in person. It's crazy. So there's a lot of evil that very, very rich people do. And some of the ways that they gain their ill-gotten crazy masses of money is through subjugation, exploitation of the average person and the lower person. And, doing stuff like that, that's evil. Taking away the ability for somebody who's in jail or prison to communicate with their loved ones effectively just to make more money. And that's why, in some ways, I have no respect for the owners of the Detroit Pistons. And that, whatever their problems are with their team, their ugly ass blue, red, and white jerseys, they look like prison uniforms in some ways, because in some ways, the players on the team for the Pistons are just an extension of the grossness of the corporation that buys and owns the Pistons. They get what they get. If that team is horrible forever, well, in some ways, maybe that's some sort of thing coming around and smacking the ownership group in the ass for making money off the misery of incarcerated people in the state of Michigan. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to get real here. I don't give a shit. I will say what needs to be said in truth. And people can get mad at me. I don't give a shit if anybody cares about me giving a job or anything like that. I have nothing to lose. So I will say whatever the fuck I want to say on this channel. And I'm saying that right there. Another good example of horrible owners are the DeVos family. The DeVos family are extremely horrible family in the United States. They've owned the Orlando Magic pretty much since the beginning of the Orlando Magic. Now, the father that died a long time ago, he was a little bit better for certain things as far as running that team. And now the children run it, including the former Secretary of Education under Donald Trump, Betsy DeVos, who very much was very horrible to public schooling in the country during the Trump administration, trying to take away the ability for funding for public schools to encourage more people to have private schools and homeschooling, and to hurt the public school system and the funding and the ability to have schooling for everybody. That's messed up. And they did try to do it through privatization and all kinds of dirty shit. And, her just being in the administration of Donald Trump, that tells you all you need to know. In fact, the DeVos family spend millions of dollars every year to fight against same-sex marriage. They're very much anti-trans, and they're very much anti-gay. So, if you support the Orlando Magic, you support anti-gay, basically. I'm just saying, you're supporting anti-same-sex marriage. You're supporting anti-LGBTQ if you support the Orlando Magic. That's just the damn truth. Now, we could look at the Denver Nuggets. Let's look at the Denver Nuggets. You know who owns the Denver Nuggets? The Walton family. Walmart. Walmart owns the Nuggets. Yeah, that's true. And think about Walmart as a big corporation and how they have subjugate everybody with their prices in certain ways. Now, the prices used to be good, but they raised them up and gouged us, just like Loblaws and Galen Weston recently. And they just recently lowered their prices like there's some sort of humanitarian benevolency. No, you manipulated this shit. And you fucking gouged people for a couple of years now to get this money, this extra money. So yeah, Walmart owns the Nuggets. That's problematic in itself. I think Walmart is one of the worst corporations on North America. Some people say, no, Walmart's great. I get all my deals there, Lex. Shut up. I do all my grocery shopping there. Yeah, that's only because they've hedged the market and made it that way. Think about all the mom and pop marketplaces and shops that should have been around that Walmart put out of business. So I'm just gonna say there's a lot of horrible people running these teams. And some of these teams, like I will say this, in some ways, I will tell you right now, I kind of want the Boston Celtics to win the finals because I don't want the Mavericks to win. Because when the Mavericks win, the owner will profit from it. And she directly gives money to bombing Palestinian people. Yeah. She gives $200 million to the Israeli Defense Force to kill Palestinians. So it's like if the Mavericks win the championship, that's going to fund more bombing of innocent children and women in what's going on right now over there. So think about that. We got one hands, we got the big ugly green machine that we hate, the Boston Celtics, and then we got an owner that's going to fund genocide basically on the other side. So it's like, whoa, Lex, what are we going to do here? In some ways, that may be the way I game this to be okay with the Celtics winning. I was like, well, the Celtics won. At least not as many bombs are going to get funded to drop on people right now over there. Crazy ass chemical bombs that are outlawed by the UN and should not be used. They're atrocities. They're war crimes. And they're even using new bombs that nobody's seen before that don't use remnants of anything. They vaporize and there's no evidence. So there's some really evil, shady ass, fucked up shit happening over there with the genocide that's going on the Palestinian people. And well, if the Mavericks win the championship, that's going to fund more bombs, y'all. That's just straight up truth. Seriously. You may not believe me, but that's absolutely the damn truth. Seriously. So let's keep going. All right. Tom Duke's saying, sure seemed fishy when I heard the whole new Mavs new ownership is all about. You know, there's another part of the Mavs ownership that is really fishy. And I'm going to tell you right now. Now, the Adelson family owns the Sands Casino. And that this is once again a situation where Sheldon Adelson made his fortune off of the misery of poor people in the casino business. The casino business is shady as hell. It's a place where, you know, they put machines out there that give hope to people that they will make money. But no, the house wins more often than not. And in some ways, people lose their life fortunes in Las Vegas at places like the Sands Casino. And in some ways, I have a problem with, you know, gambling and casino, things like that, because I am an addict. I'm an alcoholic. I cannot stop drinking if I drink. And now I understand addiction is involved in gambling also. And in some ways, this is a way that people get hopeless addicts that are addicted to gambling to give all their money to one place, to this place. So in some ways, the Adelson fortune is built off the misery of economically killing people in casinos. Now, part of the reason why they wanted to buy the Dallas Mavericks is because the state of Texas currently does not allow gambling on sports. But they see that as a huge, huge new market that's going to open up at some point. With the opening up of gambling across the United States in sports in different places already, they see the last footholds of not having gambling as being the prospective places to make even more money. So the reason why they bought that team is because they want to get their foot in that territory, in that state, to possibly be the front runners when it does get opened up. That is the huge money-making reason why the Adelsons bought the Mavericks, is because they are the casino magnates in Vegas, but they see a huge, great untapped market in Texas. And when Texas opens up legalized gambling, they want to be the first in front to start capitalizing on it. So yeah, there's another part of it. In some ways, the gambling of the casino owners owning the Mavericks is to set up so that they can have an advantage when Texas changes their laws about legalized gambling. And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people do not realize that that is the issue that's going on with that right there. Yeah, let's see. Amit saying Wardell Stephen Curry Sr., no half-ass. There you go. He gave the real name, the full real name there. Yeah, 175 points away from Fiercey. Is the comeback possible? Well, of course it is, Amit. But who knows? We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what happens. There's going to be at least 2 more trivia games, and it's going to be a fight. I can tell. Amit saying, didn't he also do something for 9/11? I don't remember what it was, but I feel like I heard something a while ago. Maybe I'm wrong. James Dolan is such a New York guy. I'm sure he did some very special things around when 9/11 happened and stuff like that, for sure. It's weird. In some ways, I can get behind some of the things he's done philanthropically and admire him for that. But honestly, the way he runs the Knicks, how punitive he's being towards our team, and also the sexual harassment or sexual misconduct allegations against him. Yeah, he's a scumbag. He's a scumbag. And if he gave money to Trump too, yeah, that just adds to it right there. Gerald's here. Good to see Naco the Nacho. I don't like that David Zaslav gets free Knicks tickets. Zaslav cancels movies to make money off the tax write-off. See, I don't even know who that is, Naco. So you're saying that there's some guy in New York that gets free Knicks tickets that shouldn't or something like that? I don't know who that person is. I'm going to have to educate myself on that name. I have no idea who that is. G saying Petty Dolan, ever since Masai fleeced him, he can't get over it. Yeah, I don't understand it. In some ways, it's, you know what? It's one of those kind of things where they see us as a threat. We're run very well. We've done way better than them for most of the last 15 years. And they, in some ways, they want to hurt us and make us worse. And they personally have a grudge match with us. I don't get it. In some ways, I didn't take the Knicks seriously for the most part until recently, until they finally got OG and they finally started winning. And in some ways, I never took them that seriously in like the last 20 years, seriously. But now they want to come up to prominence, and well, they want to butt us out of the way, and they want to try and hold us down in whatever shady ass, crazy, dirty way they can, whether it's a lawsuit or voting against us getting a WNBA team. I think that's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let's see. What else did I want to do today? Let's do Leo's life tips real quick. Good morning. Another coffee. Have a blessed Sunday. You got this. Okay, so Leo's saying this morning, up, blessed, thankful, and grateful for yet another day. It sounds exactly like what Trevor J was saying with his words of wisdom. We're just up, we're blessed, we're thankful for another day that walks on this earth. So there you go. Happy to have another day. Looks like it's going to rain out here where I'm at. Actually, it's already started. I can see the rain coming down outside right now. So yeah, there's your Leo's life tip for the morning. There you go. Nako saying David Zaslav is a Warner Brothers producer. He canceled Acme versus Wiley, a fully finished Wiley Coyote movie. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Dolan's got his issues for sure. But in some ways, like, I know that he pisses off Knicks fans just as much as he pisses off everybody else. Like, I know people in New York want James Dolan to sell that team. They hate him. They hate him so much. Right now, they're big on Thibodeau and Leon Rose and the work that they've been doing, but they hate the owner still. They still hate the owner. Trevor's saying, when you get stuck between two evils, you cannot choose anyone. You have to just walk away and pray for them. That's what I'm saying. So maybe we shouldn't care about either one of these teams winning, because that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Let's go look at the Boston Celtics ownership group real quick. I've got this spreadsheet. It's got all the owners listed on it, and I can go look at them right now. Now, there's multiple owners of the Boston Celtics. Grusbeck, who's always at the press conference, is always there. And there's another Grusbeck, Padaluca, Bonderman, Breyer, Pallotta, Hutchins, Levine. Okay, they're called Boston Basketball Partners. And they're a local private investment group formed to purchase the Boston Celtics. And they come from the Abbey Group and let's see, and Bain Capital Partners. And they're involved in a lot of different businesses: Texas Pacific, Excel, Harvard Business School, Bain Capital, Greylock Partners. It just sounds like a lot of investment firms. And they all got together and they put their money together, and they may actually be like really strong Celtics fans. And that's what they wanted to do. It could be that they're a bunch of investment guys from Boston just decided, hey, we're going to buy this team. And we want to do that. I don't know enough about any of them individually to really dissect or go off on any of them for being absolutely horrible people. But it's an ownership group of investors, obviously. I think one of them, it says right here, is actually the senior associate dean of Harvard Business School. So, there's quite a diversity of people there. So I mean, I could go through all the owners of the Celtics at some point and probably find a dirtbag in there somewhere. But for the most part, the Celtics ownership group, to me, strikes me as not a bad group in the most part. I mean, I've seen these guys show up at their press conferences, especially last year with the Ime Udoka scandal and all the things that happened with that. They were more publicly out and open at press conferences talking with Brad Stevens about the issue with Udoka and stuff like that. So, Yeah, in some ways, like I said, I just hate the Celtics. But in some ways, it's like my personal hate for the Celtics. Does that supersede like bombing innocent people? Who knows? Maybe the Celtics give money to it too. I don't know, but I know for damn sure the owner of the Mavericks does support the bombing and the genocide that's going on right now. So let's see. Let's see what else we got going on. All right, let's do the Instagram stories real quick right now. Scotty is still over in Asia. He's taken a picture 2 hours ago in Hong Kong of this beautiful like lobby, atrium, mezzanine, big, huge open space with escalators and different floors. It just looks amazing. It looks absolutely amazing. So Scotty has traveled back from China to Hong Kong. So he may be on his way back to the States at this point. He spent quite a while in Asia in the last week or two. So let's see what else. There's a nice horizon Scotty's got of it looks like a bay with some buildings on the other side. It's sideways. It's landscape, but it's turned. And then there's some beautiful lights. And he just posted this 35 minutes ago, guys. So he is up early on the time over there, and he's doing a photo dump of his travels in Asia right now. And I know Scott's really loving it. He's having a great time over there. Let's see. Emmanuel Quickly apparently had his matchup last night. I got the times and things miscalculated. The matchup for his Twitch game was last night at 10 p.m. and they played and they dominated. Apparently, We the North absolutely kicked the crap out of Eastside Allegations last night, and Emmanuel was a badass himself. He got an A plus as a halftime top performer. At half, he had 15 points, 9 assists, and he was 100% from three. Emmanuel's awesome. Like, seriously, he is as good on the 2K court as he is in real life on the regular court. So amazing stuff by Emmanuel Quickly. He's got a post where he's like, I'm like that. And he's showing off his handles, and he dribbles right around them, and he throws it down in the lane. They didn't even have a chance. So, actually, they didn't play Eastside Allegations. They played Bronx Last Five last night, and they killed them. It was at 10 p.m. last night. We the North with Emmanuel Quickly in a Pro-Am 2K matchup. They dominated on Twitch. Trevor J posted a link last night. I didn't get in there. I went to sleep early last night because I was tired after mowing the lawn. But yeah, Emmanuel, you're a badass. And I'm so happy to see that your team kicked some butt on the NBA 2K. Chris Boucher is really upbeat and feeling good in his Instagram stories. I can tell. He's got this little girl who's a cup, and it says, when someone tries to pour negativity into your peaceful life, she like takes the cup and pours it back out. There's also a picture of Chris at a closet or his clothing store or something like that, and he's smiling, and it looks like he's in a good place. And also, he's posting something where it looks like his life is charting up, like it's a graph, and he said, "Think life is slowly getting better." So something must be happening with Chris, where he's seeing some good fortune coming towards him in the future. And I hope that has to do with being on the Raptors and having good things happen on the Raptors. Jordan Wara, of course, is still in Louisville at his alma mater, and he's getting practice time with some of his people from his old school at Louisville University. And yeah, it's cool to see him back home at his old alma mater. Miles Burns with his regular photo drop of the day. We see Grady Dick. I think he went to a wedding this weekend. Some guy named Matthew Sorley, it looks like, and he's like in a suit, and they look all like they're at a wedding or something. So I don't know if it was a wedding or what it was, but it's probably a wedding. I'm gonna guess that Grady went to a wedding this weekend. Let's just say that. Gary Trent Sr. is celebrating a black surgeon who safely operated on and reinserted a baby into her mother's womb. That sounds crazy. Pioneering in medicine. So yeah, black excellence in medicine, and Gary Trent Sr. is putting it on blast. I love to see it. Makura has got somebody winning some prizes. I don't know if that's him or no. That's Thon Maker. Actually, he's putting his cousin on blast. Thon, we remember Thon Maker from the NBA a couple of years ago. Well, he must have won some prizes. He's got a medal and he's got 2 cups he's holding, and I'm not sure where he's been playing. But Thon Maker is successful somewhere, and McCurr is celebrating him. Precious is watching soccer yesterday. He's seen Dortmund beat Real Madrid, and he was very happy about that. He's also been chilling with Vina. He's got his wine near him always in these days recently. So you go, Mr. Achua. You go. Mr. New York City, Marquise Noel's got a nice, looks like a schnitzel with a salad and some sweet potato fries. Marquise is down in Miami, I believe, right now, hanging out down there from his Instagram stories. Thad Young Jr. Getting beat by Thad Young Sr. on the court once again. That old man has to teach these kids some tricks, trying to tell him he's washed up and no good at this point. Man, people need to respect Thad Young. This guy has been in this league forever, and you can't do that. It's not easy. You just don't kind of like fluke into that. Marc Gasol, I've got his Instagram this morning. He is out in the garden and he is looking at flowers and taking pictures of flowers. So it looks like Mark is in the same phase of his life as me. He's all about the green growing outside, and he's got all kinds of cool pictures of different blooms and flowers. I'm guessing from his own yard. So you go, Marc Gasol, and get your green thumb on. You FIBA champion and NBA legend. There you go. All right, and also real quick, Raptors are celebrating Black and Indigenous culture with Indigenous Month, but also Filipino Heritage Month, and they are also celebrating that also. So I want to say I appreciate all the Filipino people in my life, including Granny Evelyn, and all the great people around the GTA and around the world, Filipino heritage, and we're celebrating you guys too, and I like that too. So there's your Instagram check with the Raptors and all what they're doing and where they are and what they're doing. Jakob just finished his camp in Vienna, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow. That'll be our Monday moment. Jakob Perdo basketball camp, successful this weekend. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. That's right. Yeah, let's see. Tom Duke saying, who has the coolest ownership group? Brooklyn? I don't know. Let's go look at this a little bit here. I think that Brooklyn's pretty good. I like our guy, Larry. I mean, obviously, Larry Tenenbaum is the bomb, just like in his name. I mean, some would say, Tom, that the coolest owner is the owner of the Jazz. Yeah, you saw him at that All-Star weekend. The dude with his hat flipped back. He looks like the guy. He looks like the dog on Simpsons, the cool dog with the glasses and the hat backwards. The owner of the Jazz, Ryan Smith. Yeah, he was all involved in the All-Star weekend, remember? And of course, Dwayne Wade is an owner with him. Let's see what Ryan Smith's all about. Like, he's all about a lot of things. He's going to be owning an NHL team in Salt Lake City soon, apparently. He is the co-owner of the Real Salt Lake. So he's all about owning all the different teams around Salt Lake City. Let's see. He made his money himself, though. So he founded Qualtrics with his father and his brother Jared, and that's where he made his money from information systems. So he's a computer nerd that made it big through computer stuff, and that's how he did it. Let's see. He is a Church of Latter-day Saints, and he spent 2 years in Mexico as a missionary. And Forbes estimates his net worth as 1.6 billion. So yeah, I think Ryan Smith's one of the cooler owners. I would say that Mark Cuban was when he was the primary owner. I would say even Matt Ashiba, the owner of the Phoenix Suns, seems like a pretty cool guy. I mean, although, let me go investigate him real quick. Of course, he's the CEO of a mortgage company. And any kind of mortgage companies in the last couple decades, they're probably criminals because the mortgage industry is so convoluted and messed up. And it really does mess people up in different ways. Now, it could be that he's buying stuff and hurting people from being able to own houses because of the way he buys up mortgages. So in some ways, and also we know that Matt Ashiba has a feud with Dan Gilbert of the Cavs. So there's all kinds of stupid stuff with these owners in some ways. Ashiba apparently has donated $32 million to Michigan State University for the new Tom Izzo basketball building. Yeah, and he's also donated money to the V Foundation, Jimmy Vivano, the Jimmy V, the old NBA coach, or no, college coach that died of cancer a long time ago. So yeah, it looks like mostly Ashiba is a good guy. Mostly. I mean, I would worry about how he made his money through the mortgage stuff, but I like what he's doing for the Suns fans. As far as the Suns games are not on cable anymore, they're on free antenna TV, so you can watch all the Phoenix games without having to pay a cable bill, and that's awesome. And also, him investing and making the team as good as it can be is like a fan kind of thing, like Mark Cuban would do. So I tend to say that people like Ryan Smith, Matt Ashiba, Joe Tsai, these are good owners. These are good owners. I tend to think that overall. Let's see. Let's see. Who's another one that I should maybe look at real quick? Because there are some other ones that are kind of like Steve Ballmer is a weird one because obviously Steve Ballmer is really, really rich. And he made his money off of Apple and iPhones and computers and Microsoft and all that kind of crap. And he does have a crazy amount of money, a crazy, crazy amount of money. Let's see, what is what does he give money to? Because in some ways, that's something you should always look at to see what they're about. If they're giving money to like really good causes, that's fantastic. But if they're giving money to war, I ain't about it. Let's see. So he's funding university stuff, is what Steve Ballmer does. He gives a lot of money to the University of Oregon. So Slim Duck's old alma mater there. Let's see. He's also given some money to Harvard, to their computer science department. And let's see. He's also on the World Chairman's Council of the Jewish National Fund, and he's donated 1 million or more to the JNF and stuff like that. So he also launched USA Facts, which allows people to see how much government revenue is spending and societal impact happens. So that's kind of a good thing. He kind of pulled the veil on seeing how the government spends its money and whether it's spending it effectively or not. Yeah. So there you go. Let's see. All right. Where are we with the comments? Let me come back to this. Let's see. I am on Tom Duke. How involved is Jay-Z in the ownership of the Nets? I don't know if he is listed at this point. I don't know if he's listed. You know, he may be very small minority owner as far as like his share at this point. But yeah, Jay-Z's involved. Some people will say Jay-Z's not the best person either in some ways. Grizzlies have Justin Timberlake. Let me see if he's on the list for the Memphis Grizzlies. The owner of the Memphis Grizzlies name is Robert J. Pera, and he's a global communications technology company. Ubiquity Networks is what he owns. Let's see. He's only 46. He's quite young. So he's a similar kind of owner to Smith of the Jazz. And yeah, he was involved at Apple, just like Ballmer. And he bought the Grizzlies in 2012. So there's not a whole lot of information on him on here, but I've heard good things about the Grizzlies owner overall. You know, these celebrity owners, they're not really like true owners. They're investors, and they're usually not like major owners. Now, there are a couple of NBA players that are listed on this sheet of the list of owners, and I'll tell one of them is Grant Hill. Grant Hill is a part owner of the Atlanta Hawks, just so y'all know. Let's see if I can see any other well-known names in this ownership list that you guys can find out about real quick. Another name that's ownership is Dwayne Wade. As I said before, he's a part owner of the Utah Jazz. So his name is actually on here also. But those are really the only two players that are on this list as owners in the league that are of note. Grant Hill and Dwayne Wade. And that's it. If there's a little bit minority owners, otherwise I can't detect them from this sheet here. Let's see. Mike Sand, the Golden State Warriors part owner who pushed Lowry in 2019. There you go. Mike still got a grudge for that guy who pushed Lowry in the front row. And well, that guy he was forced to sell his part of the team. The Golden State Warriors ownership group, let's see if they're problematic. They are owned by Joe LaCobb and Peter Guber. And Joe LaCobb is an American business executive. He's 68 years old. He's from Massachusetts. He was a partner at Kleiner Perkins. And let's see, he was in a venture capital investing firm, and that's how he made his money. And he actually was an investor in the ABL, which was a professional women's basketball league that folded when the WNBA came around and took over. So, and he's also a former part owner of the Celtics, just so y'all know. So the owner of the Warriors used to be a owner of the Celtics, and he's the one who fired Mark Jackson as the coach the Golden State Warriors at one time. So there's not a whole lot here about him and what he does with his money philanthropically or how he made it. It's really just venture capital and, probably just being a mover and a shaker and getting some money drawn up that way. That's right. Let's see. Tom Duke saying Usher, Nelly, and Jay-Z too. Yeah, these are all like celebrity owners. In some ways, they're as much owners of their teams as like Drake is of the Raptors. Drake has a bit ownership with the Raptors, but it's not a very big percentage. And I would say the same thing for those guys. In some ways, those guys are kind of just involved to make it cool and attractive in the same way that Drake's involved. Tom saying, guess those celebs are just minority owners, unlike Alex in Minnesota. What a mess that is going in the arbitration about the deal falling through. Yeah, Alex Rodriguez is not an owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Glenn Taylor welched on the deal, and he said, no, we ain't doing it. And yeah, the Minnesota team is still owned by Glenn Taylor. Now, who's Glenn Taylor? Let's go look at him real quick. He is, it looks like he's about 83 years old. He's a billionaire business magnate. He has Taylor Corporation. Let's see. He's the richest person in Minnesota. He was the Republican Minnesota state senator in the 80s. He was a state senator. He also strongly considered running for governor at one point. He's still an active Republican in the Republican Party, and he donated money to Republican candidates in 2020. Let's see. Now they're talking about how he welched on trying to sell the team. So yeah, I don't know. Glenn Taylor's been around in the NBA since the beginning. Like I think he's been the only owner of this of the Timberwolves since '89. Kind of like the DeVos family. Both those ownership groups have kind of held those teams the whole entire time. That's why it's very interesting that he was going to sell this year to that group, but then he backed out because the Minnesota Timberwolves actually did really well. That's crazy. Trevor's saying yesterday's game between Indiana and Chicago Sky was amazing. Indiana got the second win. Yeah, that's awesome. So Caitlin Clark finally getting some more success. It's been a tough go so far for the Indiana Fever in their WNBA season so far with their new rookie superstar. But yeah, good stuff. The WNBA games have been exciting. The season's getting more eyes on it and more attention. And let's go look at our league real quick. Right now, Morgan is still beating me. This is the last day of the third week of matchups. David is winning against James. Fiercey is losing to MK at this point. So Fiercey's got to watch out. She's going to lose her undefeated streak. Edmund is losing to Country Kong. And we've also got Kareem beating Cool Cat. So check your WNBA fantasy teams if you have one. Yeah, there you go. Wayne saying, just checking in. Again, happy for Kyrie, but the Adelson family is evil as they come. Yeah. Yeah, they specifically give $200 million every year to the Israeli army to destroy people. Seriously. So yeah, it's gross. In some ways, I'm second guessing my whole want to root for the Mavericks against the Celtics just purely on that. They just bought this team like just a couple months ago. I would wholeheartedly root for the Mavericks if it was just still owned by Mark Cuban. But now that there's new owners and their intentions for what they want to do, it makes it really hard for me to kind of root for them. And in some ways, if the Celtics win, I won't be upset for that reason. I got to game it either way that I'm going to be happy for who wins. And in some ways, well, the Celtics win. That's a good reason why they could win. But if the Celtics don't win, there's great reasons why for that too. David saying, good morning. Good morning, Lex. I don't care who owns the Mavs. Fuck Boston. See, he doesn't care about all this. But David, don't you understand? If the Mavs win, more Palestinian people will get bombed, David. It's as simple as that. We're talking about either like, oh, we don't like the Celtics. We just don't like them. But people will die if the Mavericks win. That's just how it is, dude. Because the new owners of the new owner of the Mavericks is born in Israel, and she gives a huge amount of money to their army to kill people. So, I mean, okay, David, that's what I'm saying. In some ways, it's like it's we can't win with this finals. We really can't at this point. I mean, in some ways, if the Mavs do win, I'll focus on Kyrie and Luka and the team and Mark Cuban and try to forget about the genocide part. But if the Celtics win, I'll be happy that more bombs weren't bought. How about that? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's heavy subjects. A little bit, we're French here. We're a little bit talking the real stuff, and people don't want to talk about this. They ain't gonna talk about this on Sportsnet. They ain't gonna talk about this on TSN. Hello and welcome with Alex Wong and William Liu. They ain't gonna talk about this either. No, no. Samson Falk might talk about this because he's a little bit like me and he's very political and he's not scared to talk his mind on politics. But most people that talk NBA are first of all not knowledgeable enough to know about these things like I do. And second of all, they may not care. Or third, they may be like, they don't have the courage to talk about stuff like this. In some ways, if you talk for Palestine right now, you really can put a target on yourself in certain ways. I'm hearing people aren't being allowed to graduate because they support the Palestinian people in this situations right now. There's a lot of weird shit happening, in the world that has to do with that conflict over there right now. And it's in some ways it's not right. Yeah. Wayne saying, go Celtics. Sports is political, unfortunately. It's not just the wife, it's the dinosaur husband. Yeah, well, he's dead, Wayne. Sheldon died. Sheldon died a couple years ago. And if anything is on our side, Wayne Strainer, well, people age and they go away. And a lot of the old reprehensible, like Mr. Burns types are going to die off in the near future. People that are very, very old. And yeah, that's just how it is. But, they might have Junior, who's just as bad as them. In some ways, we could look at Ted Rogers Jr., the third, and how bad he is compared to Ted Rogers Sr. And yeah, sometimes Junior's worse because they didn't actually work for the money and they came in and they're just like spoiled and just little assholes. And they think they can just do whatever they want. So it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing. Amit's saying Benjamin Netanyahu needs to get out of the office, but we can't do that during a war. He's extending this because he's going to prison the second this war ends. See, this is somebody, and this, in some ways, y'all, all of our opinions about what's happening over there right now, in some ways, we have no idea realistically, in some ways, as much as Amit does. Amit is 15 years old and he lives in Israel and he is Israeli. And he's in the middle of it. He does not support his government and his leader, Netanyahu, by what he just said just now. And he can understand this intimately from the inside. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are very good Israelis that do not support what's happening right now. And that Netanyahu is absolutely crazy and like really gone off the rails and not really doing what the people want. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. In some ways, I'm kind of jaded on like people that are done wrong getting in trouble. Like this whole thing with Trump right now is scaring me because even though he got convicted of 34 charges, in some ways, I don't think he's going to get anything happen to him and there won't be any repercussions. And that's a sad thing because he is dead to rights guilty. And we want to believe that justice is blind and it's fair for everyone. But we see that this world is not. And in some ways, I worry about that with Netanyahu also, that somehow, some way, he'll weasel his way out. Some ally of his will protect him in some sort of crazy, weird way. But I really do hope that you're right, Ahmed, that he will be brought to justice for war crimes. And it's just as much as people on the other side who committed war crimes are brought to justice also. I'm not pro Hamas. I'm not pro anybody. I'm pro not killing people. And when people are being killed by both sides, and especially when one side has a way higher number of killing the other side, yeah, that doesn't make y'all morally right. I'm sorry. And any kind of genocide where you're trying to wipe people off the map of the earth is always incredibly and horribly morally wrong. And what I'm hearing now is that they are encroaching and there are people coming in and taking lands that were Palestinian lands from people with armed guns, and they're just annexing areas now. And they're just saying, yeah, this is not going to be Palestine or anything like that ever again. This is just incorporated into Israel. And in some ways, this is, we can all see it in real time because of communications. This is the way of the world throughout the centuries. People conquer other people. It's just that we can see it live on cable news now. And in some ways, that's good because it shines a light on the atrocities that are committed by evil men in dark places. So yeah, I'm so proud of Amit because it's not an easy position to hold in the country that he's in, how he feels about this. I'm sure Amit doesn't want his people to die and he doesn't want other people to die either. And that's where we are too. And that's why, man, listen, whatever you say about this situation, Amit, I take like really heavy in consideration into because you know it best because it is around you. It is around you. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we'll see. That may be part of it is like he's trying to say, I won't stop this war until I can get I can get somebody to say that I will be immune from getting in trouble after this. I mean, he's doing Trump kind of shit, Netanyahu. He's trying to save his ass, even though he's doing all kinds of crazy ass shit. I'm going to give you a big 3-pointer, Amit, for being brave and saying something that, you know, in some ways, the people that are around you where you are right now, it may not be very safe for you to say some of the things that like Amit's saying right here. So let's see. Tom's saying the kids will have big teeth. The kids will have big teeth. Mike's saying the NBA is a business now for sure. The China issue shows it's all about that. Yeah, I actually there's another reason why I kind of really respect Joe Tsai is because he went against Daryl Morey when Daryl Morey spoke out and the thing. He actually supported the people of Hong Kong and the people that are trying to stand against China. So that took a lot of guts in some ways. The Brooklyn Nets owner, in some ways, he turned off some people because of what he did. So it is what it is. There's a lot of controversy. China is another whole weird political part of the NBA that makes things kind of icky. Let's just put it that way. Human rights issues. Yeah, yeah. David's laughing. And Trevor's saying, what do you think about the Andrew Wiggins interview? I watched that interview you posted. Most of it was crap. Most of it was garbage. I don't want Andrew on the team. I'm sorry. That interview didn't impress me. He sounded like, first of all, he can't answer the questions. Amit's asking him. Amit Man says, hey, Andrew, what would you tell younger Andrew Wiggins that you know now that you wish you would have known then? He's blanking. He's just like, listen, I don't think that Andrew's a dumb guy. It's just that in some ways, look, we have a certain level of what's going on with our team, with Team Canada right now. And just because he's a name, just because he's a guy who's been in the Canadian realm of basketball players for a decade or so right now, doesn't mean he needs to be on the Olympics. And there's all kinds of crazy people writing articles about who Team Canada should be. I'm seeing articles written by people from Colorado. Like, what the hell do you know about Team Canada, motherfucker? You're in Boulder, Colorado. You are not Canadian. You're just trying to tell Canada how to build their team. This asshole, he was saying that we shouldn't have Zach Edey or Kelly Olynyk on the team. He's like, Zach Edey's too young and inexperienced to play on the team. You're an idiot. First of all, Boulder, Colorado guy opining on who should be on Team Canada. Zach Edey's the future of Team Canada, and he needs to be there every single time because that's how you build up the legacy. Did they tell Jonas Valanciunas when he was 15 years old, you're too young to be on Team Lithuania? No, they let that man play because he was good. And then they try to say, all right, Kelly Olynyk will not be on the team this year instead for Tristan Thompson, is what this guy's trying to say. Like, bullshit. Kelly Olynyk's the captain of Team Canada, you dumbass. And Kelly Olynyk will be playing for Canada at the Paris Olympics. You think this motherfucker went all the way through all these years of building up the program the last couple of years to get to this point, to get Canada to the Olympics, that he's not going to play for Canada in the Olympics? I can't believe some people making opinions about who they think Team Canada should be, and they have no realistic idea of what Team Canada's been the last few years. It's crazy. This guy put in Brandon Clark on the team instead. He's like, we want Brandon Clark. He's just stacking it with all the NBA guys he thinks should be on there. And once again, that's not what Rowan Barrett Sr. is going to do. That's not what Jordi Fernandez wants to coach. So, yeah, there's a lot of dumb things being put out there. Now, that Wiggins interview was kind of crap, honestly. They asked him a lot of dumb questions, all kinds of stuff. They were glazing Draymond Green in it. I was like, oh, this is pathetic. They're like, oh, yeah, Draymond is a defensive genius. And I was like, no, he isn't. He's a thug. He punches people in the face, and he gets away with it because the NBA wants him to be the next Charles Barkley. That's what he is. He's not a defensive genius, you idiots. He's smart at getting away with dirty shit is what he is. And Andrew's kind of like, yeah, everybody's got Draymond wrong. He's so cool. I love him. He's my buddy. In some ways, I cannot stand Amit Man and S. I really can't. Ahmed Man has good interviews. He's had good interviews the last couple of years, but he's annoying to me the way his style and the way he asks questions and stuff. And S in some ways, all right, you know what? He's on Sportsnet. He's doing what he's doing, but in some ways, I just don't like his personality, and I just don't like the way he goes about his questions and stuff like that. They are what they are. And they got Andrew Wiggins. They talked to him about this, and Andrew said we should stay tuned and find out if I'm going to be on Team Canada or not. Well, he doesn't know. I don't think he's going to make it, guys. To be honest, I don't think he's going to make it unless he shows up and he's better than RJ or he's better than Dylan Brooks or he's better than Nickel. He's not going to make this team, y'all. And it'll be funny because everybody will see it in the end. Everybody will see it in the end. Yeah. David's saying Trump isn't going to jail. He will be elected in November. Hey, Lex, did you get my email? Yes, I got your email. I saw the pictures. They're very nice. No, screw that, David. Don't be telling me horror stories. I've given strikes for this kind of shit in the past. In fact, I went off on somebody, Raymond Jacob, for this. Remember, David? Why are you going to tell me this? Seriously, I struck out Raymond Jacob and got really pissed at him for saying that Trump was going to win again. Well, he didn't win again, did he? When Raymond said that before. So, yeah, he's not going to win again, guys. Come on. He's not going to win again. If that happens, well, the USA is no longer a democracy. It's a dictatorship marauding as a democracy, marauding as a democracy. Ahmed's saying, well, genocide is not exactly what this is. Numbers are way over exaggerated by Hamas. But yeah, most Israelis just want the war to end and to bring all the Israelis home. Yeah, war sucks. Wish this world could live in peace no matter where you come from. There you go. That's the right message. And I like young people like Ahmed having this kind of mentality. Too many young people get indoctrinated to hate and going into this whole like I'm this versus these people kind of thing. Now, I don't know what is exactly to be believed out there because honestly, I'm going to say this. You know, there's a lot of mass media that is portraying things in a good light for Israel. And there's a lot of independent sources that are coming out that are telling us totally different things. And Ahmed, you from the inside, you may not be seeing some of the stuff that I'm seeing because it's filtered from you and not popular for you to see. If you saw some of the really horrible images I've seen in the last couple of days, you may be even strongly mad and against Netanyahu. Seriously, because they're lying to you. The number you think Hamas is lying about their numbers, they're not. There's like 45,000 people that have been killed since October. That's a lot of people. 45,000 people. And most of them have been women and children. So I don't know what they're telling you exactly. I know that there's a filter here even where they try and hide some of this stuff and they try and write a lot of just pro-Israel news. But the truth is actually really grim and absolutely disgusting. There are children that are starving, that are very, very thread bone, nothing. And there are people that are stopping convoys of aid and laughing about it and really like enjoying being absolutely demonic people as far as stopping these people from being able to. I mean, they push them to such an edge of these refugee camps and now they're bombing the refugee camps. That's crazy. That's absolutely disgusting. And it's absolutely evil. And Ahmed, you do so good with your life to separate yourself from that energy and to not support what's happening. You know, there is a way to be Israeli and not support Netanyahu. And more people need to do that. There's just as much as in Russia, there's a lot of Russian people that are not for Putin, but they have to be quiet about it because they can go to jail. And it is not as much popularity for these madmen as they want everybody to think around the world. That's part of the facade that they build to endorse their atrocities, is to say that there's popular sentiment behind them, but there isn't as much. And Ahmed Gaming is an example of that within that country, that he does not support what Netanyahu's campaign is doing. Just as much as there's a 15-year-old kid in Russia that does not support Putin in the same kind of way with what he's doing in Ukraine. So it's a crazy, crazy situation. And yeah, Hamas is evil and they're fucked up. Oh yeah, I will say that too. But two wrongs don't make a right. And that's what's happening here. That's what's happening here right now. David's saying, sadly, that is never going to happen. Well, I don't know what's going to happen, David. Maybe the scripture's right. Maybe the World War III will happen and boom, we're idiots. We're all dead on this planet because we couldn't get our shit together and live in harmony and figure it out. Religion is the root of all evil. Religion is the root of all evil. And then money's right behind it, holding hands with it. So yeah, it's right there, right there. Yeah, Ahmet saying I don't watch Israeli news for that exact reason because he doesn't want to be over propagandized, and because that is true. Like news is very propagandized at this point. CNN, Fox News, CBC, BBC, it's all propagandized by certain people in certain ways. And even the social media networks like Twitter is very much like Elon is deciding what he wants to promote in the worldviews and perceptions that he wants to promote because he wants to make them more indoctrinated to be the status quo reality of the world. Perception is reality. And if you tell enough people the perception you want them to perceive, you can shape the reality. And that's part of the reason why these ultra rich people are buying magazines, newspapers, TV, radio, Twitter, social media like Facebook, because they can shape reality through perception. And that's why we all need to be very much critical thinkers that think through things, wonder shit, and really think about what the truth is that lies at the bottom of every single thing that's happening right now. Because they will lie to us just to make us believe their reality. And you don't have to buy into it. And Amit's a smart young man to understand that maybe the news is propagandized to shape him to believe something. And that's what I'm saying right there. It's crazy. Name is saying, good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I haven't been with y'all recently. I started my new plumbing apprenticeship. That's awesome, Nameless. Congratulations to you. We have missed you. And I did notice that you had been gone a bit, but I'm going to give you a 3-pointer, my guy, for your successful return today. And you know what? This is fantastic. This is a fantastic thing. You're doing exactly what Scotty wanted you to do. You've gone to trade school. And in some ways, if you got that Scotty Barnes trade school scholarship to do it, that's fantastic, Nameless. So Scotty and I are proud of you for going to trade school. And you know what? Plumbing's never going to go out of style. You will always have money in your pocket if you're a plumber. That's just the damn truth. There's certain jobs where you will always be able to find work. And well, sadly, the mortician's one of them and the plumber's another. Yeah, there you go. That is awesome. I'm so proud of you, Nameless, for doing what you're doing. Make a new life for yourself as a plumber. That's awesome, man. You could go in the great footsteps of Mario. Yes, he's going to be killing Koopa soon. Watch it. Yeah. Yeah. Good job, Nameless. I'm so proud of him. Good work, my son. There you go. I love it. Mike's saying maybe Trump is reelected and makes peace in the Middle East again. Well, that's what Trump people would tell you would be, but that's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. The whole trope that Trump causes peace in the Middle East or peace in Ukraine is absolute horse crap. Absolute horse crap. You know what he does? He kisses everybody's asses and placates them so that they will not do stuff. Like the whole thing with Putin. Well, Putin didn't have to start a war. And in some ways, his timing of starting a war with Biden was because he had a puppet candidate in charge when Trump was there. And in some ways, him with the timing of what he did with Ukraine, in some ways, is supposed to show, oh, well, if Biden's in charge, there'll be war because we're increasing it and doing it. In some ways, the evil people will manipulate things in that way. So, you know what? Putin was going to try and do Ukraine no matter what. And maybe because Trump was kissing his ass for a little while, he held off on it because he felt good having his own little puppet in charge of the United States. So I would say that's what it is right there. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Tom's laughing. Amit saying, okay, let's get back to Raptors talk. I hate talking politics. I'm with you on this, Amit. And I know it's probably very uncomfortable for you in certain ways. I mean, listen, I am feel very lucky that your presence is here. Seriously, because I'm the kind of person that wants all perspectives and all sides of things. And even though I don't agree with what's happening with Israel bombing Palestinian people indiscriminately and just like innocent people are dying, I understand there's a lot of innocent people that are involved in this situation on all sides in different places. You know, you're not in charge of what is happening there. So I don't hate you for it. Why did you didn't do it? So, you know, it's crazy. Yeah, let's see. All right, what else we're saying? David's saying, thank you. What a mess. Yeah, he doesn't want to talk about it either. Well, today's just a little bit of it, just a little bit of it. And it's kind of just what I wanted to disclose today. That's all. Nameless is saying humans are creatures of perception, nothing more. If you control the perception, you dictate the behavior. Yeah, if you tell somebody somebody's coming to kill you tomorrow, well, they may get really scared and start doing things, even though that may not be true. You can do all kinds of things with fear. Fear is the weapon. Is like, you know, they are going to make you fear that somebody's going to try and turn your child gay. You're going to make you fear that somebody's going to try and make your kid trans. Oh, they're gonna make you fear because somebody's gonna come and try and rob you. So we need to give more money to the police. They use fear and things that you may be afraid of to get you more motivated in dumb ways. Whether it's the fear of illegal aliens coming and taking your jobs or whoever, the fear is what the weapon is used. So be smart to it and understand it. And think about your life every day. And well, is this fear actually realistic for me to be worried about? Sure. If you're worried about crime and mugging and you live in a bad neighborhood, buy a gun. Sure. But if you think you need to buy a gun and you live in a very safe neighborhood, it's just because you're scared that some person of color moved in down the street, you're crazy. And you're being manipulated with fear by forces out there that want you to live in fear. So, I mean, it's a weird thing, man. It's a weird thing. There you go. David saying, "Hey, Nameless, nice to see you. Was just wondering about you yesterday." Yeah. Cowboy messaged me after the show yesterday. He said that his YouTube is messed up, and that's why he wasn't with us here in the chat. Also, yesterday was Cowboy's birthday, y'all. Canadian Cowboy had his birthday yesterday, and he wanted to invite us all down to Tommy Thompson Park on the lake for a celebration with him on his birthday, but I did not see the message till after the stream. And yeah, it was Cowboy's birthday yesterday, y'all. Just so y'all know, real quick. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Nameless is laughing. Tom's got the mushroom out. Yeah, I'm all about the nature out there. We've had a chipmunk out in the yard. I cut the lawn so you can there's some really nice lines, and I can see the different animals and things running around out in the open yard now. Because there was a lot of grass before, and we couldn't see all the chipmunks. Now we can because the grass is cut. And I did it really strategically and nice. So I left a really nice butterfly meadow where the all the little animals and insects and everything can hide out still. And we've got our own yard to be able to do stuff too. So there's a kind of a mix of both. It's very nice. Very, very nice. David's saying June the 8th, 4 p.m. NBA restaurant, Nameless, meet and greet, and Mo's birthday. That's right, y'all. That's right. Monique, the super fan Lawrence's birthday is coming up. And we're going to have a birthday party for Monique next Saturday at 4:30, 4 p.m. NBA restaurant. Come around 4 p.m. hour. NBA restaurant, Queens Quay, downtown Toronto. We will be there. I will be there. David will be there. Monique will be there. Adriana will be there. And you could be there too, Nameless. If you are not busy with your apprenticeship stuff next Saturday, please come to the NBA restaurant, 4 p.m. You've seen Mo at the game before. Well, let's come and celebrate her birthday. And also, that's the day I'll have my 1,000th stream in a row on this channel. So the Saturday Share the Love Club is 1,000 streams in a row. And then we're going to head down to the NBA restaurant, and we're going to celebrate Mo's birthday. And we're just going to have a good time. Eat, drink, and be merry. And I will have the basketball cards with me too. And we'll just have fun. And we'll regale and funny stories. And maybe David and I will cuss out a Boston Celtics server. We'll have to see. That's just an extra bonus if that happens. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Blackhawk saying war is always ugly. Yeah, and it's constant. There pretty much is always some sort of conflict or something going on in the world at any given time. It's just that we don't hear about certain ones very often. Like there's really awful things happening in the Sudan right now too. There's a lot of problems in this world. People do despicable things for money and for religion, and it's really, really, really gross. It is always ugly. Blackhawk is right. Good to see you, Neil. David's saying, don't buy guns. Yeah, I mean, if you need one for any particular practical reason, I say go ahead. I'm not against gun ownership, but I am against gun manufacturers flooding the market with way too many guns that nobody needs. I was in Estonia for 2 weeks just recently, and hardly anybody owns a gun there because it's a very peaceful place and there's hardly any crime. So that's the thing. If we can get our shit together and be more peaceful with each other, then nobody will need a gun. And then some people will say, well, I need a gun just in case the government's coming to get me. Well, I can understand that too. But, in some ways, look, the people in the government better be regular people also. And they're just like, no, I'm not going to turn on everybody and do this. Like, what are we? Evil? What are we? The Empire and Star Wars or something like that? No, we ain't going to do this shit. The humans that are involved in the police forces and the armed forces, they should have an oath, a Hippocratic oath that tells them is like, yeah, I'm not turning my guns on my own citizens. And then you shouldn't have to worry about that. Now, if Trump becomes president again and he decides he wants to be a dictator, well, he might try and use the U.S. Army against its own citizens. That's something people need to realize because he's talking like a dictator. He's talking like a crazy ass person who wants to be in charge for the rest of his life until he dies, like a king. And, people like that, when they're in charge of the army, well, hopefully the generals in the army are like, you're crazy. You're a dictator. Fuck you. We are serving the people. That's what I say on that. So we got to think about this realistic and logically about the possibilities of these kind of things. We're getting heavy today, and I don't mind it. I wanted to do this today, honestly. David saying happy birthday to Cowboy. I love it. And Blackhawk saying happy birthday, Cowboy. Yeehaw, Neon Moon. There you go, Neon Moon. Happy birthday to Cowboy. Yeah, and 1,000 streams on Saturday is going to happen. David saying no one needs automatic weapons to protect themselves. Why can people buy an AR-15 from a corner store, basically? It's insanity. Yeah, I agree with this. I mean, within reason, what do you need? Like, I'm going to be out here in the country. I should maybe possibly think about getting a gun. There could be a bear outside in my yard all of a sudden. There's a bear. He wants to eat me. Well, if it's a black bear, I'm not afraid of him. I'll just get taller than him. He'll run away. If it's a brown bear, well, I might need to get down on the ground, act like I'm dead. Maybe he'll sniff me a little bit and then he'll go away. I'm just saying the likelihood for me needing a gun for the reasons why I might need a gun aren't that good. It may be more wildlife oriented. Now, if it's for self-defense or something like that, the statistics have shown that if you own a gun in your own house, you're more likely to shoot yourself than shoot somebody else in self-defense because somebody came in your house. That's just the damn truth. Seriously. And then on top of that, gun ownership opens a whole other area where you have to worry about your own mental health and the final solution being so readily available. Everybody in these days and age are battling with mental health issues. And you can have one bad day and make a final decision because something just happens to be present in your house. And that's not good. In some ways, that's a reason why some people shouldn't own a gun. If your mental health is bad, well, you could shoot someone else because you're confused, or you could go through with committing suicide much easier having a gun around. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying right there. And obviously, nobody needs to own an automatic weapon unless you're like living in a war zone, which I don't really know many people that are right now other than Amit. So Amit's saying, looking through my basketball cards right now, I just found a Raptors Goran Dragic card, considering ripping it up. Dude, if you do that, you're my hero. In some ways, I don't know if that card will be worth something someday. Maybe all the Goran Dragic Toronto Raptor cards will get ripped up, and it'll be very rare. I don't know. Do what you want to do with it. But if you do rip it up, Amit, you're my hero. You're my hero. That's such a weird card to have, too. David's saying, no, don't do that. It'll be worth a fortune one day. See? That's what David thinks, too. And Tom's laughing. Blackhawk saying, government is never coming for the people over here because they are too busy collecting taxes. Yeah. Yeah, I think that people get this whole idea of like the early American Revolution. The British are coming. The British are coming. Well, I must have my gun ready when the redcoats come around the corner. Yes, you better be ready, John Smith. Yes, it's bullshit like that. It's like our heritage. In some ways, it's like also partly to do with the Civil War. The whole thing that happened there. They won't take our slavery away. No, we better fight them. It's bullshit like that, too. The funerals, the whole like thing, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of civilized countries around the world that don't have any need for the common citizen to have a gun. And even some of the police officers don't need to have guns. Go talk to Japan. There's some crazy statistics where the Japanese police department, the whole entire country, shot like 6 bullets in an entire calendar year. That's true. Seriously. Crime is so not present in Japan that police officers in Japan one year only shot 6 bullets. They didn't shoot people. They just fired the gun 6 times. Isn't that crazy? So there are other ways to live. It's just that we're in some ways we're in a violent, weird people in some ways. Stupid. Stupid. Oh, it's so stupid. Tom's saying you're awesome, bud. Yeah. There you go. Blackhawk's right. In some ways, they just want to make the money off us. They're more like a leech or a tick. They're gonna get on our skin and just suck the blood little by little. The money and the taxes. Exactly what Blackhawk's saying right there. Now, I don't mind them sucking tax dollars out of me as long as I see the rewards in front of me instead of in bombing people around the world. That I don't want that to happen. I'd rather see it in the middle of the road with the road being fixed or high-speed rail or any kind of public projects that are benefiting public good. That's what our tax money is supposed to go to. It's not supposed to go to helping out big oil companies with subsidies. It's not supposed to go to bailing out the airlines and banks and stupid shit like that. It's supposed to go to services for us. And that's why I love Canada over the US, is because even if we're taxed higher, I actually see the rewards of the taxes coming back to me in the healthcare and in the civil services and the public works. So that's a big part right there. David said, I never knew his higher ambitions were to be out of the league. Who are you talking about? Who's higher? Oh, Gorans. Yeah. 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 Well, he's getting old anyway. His higher ambitions, whatever. He was trying one last chance to get a championship. He's like, oh my God, I got traded for Kyle Lowry. And now I have to win a championship. I have higher ambitions. Raptors won't win a championship. Higher ambitions. Oh, you didn't get nowhere with that. He's retired now. He's not anywhere near the NBA at this point. Mike saying Trump was the only recent American president to start no wars during his term. The unstable narrative was completely dumb. No nukes went off, etc. Listen, they're trying to tout this, and this is MAGA talk right here, Mike. Listen, I don't care if that may be technically true. There's so much evil and wrong he's done domestically if he did good internationally. Let's just put it that way. Some ways people have said the reason why none of this stuff happened is because he was so bad foreign policy wise that he didn't know what he was doing. So he just didn't focus on it at all. That's part of it right there, is that he really just basically was worried about US and doing US stuff. And like, he didn't want to get involved with anybody else. And that's part of it right there. In some ways, he has no idea how to deal with foreign policy. Trump, he really never did. And in some ways, he was eaten for lunch by people like Putin on the regular. So that's not what this is. It's just that he has no foreign policy kind of thing at all. And he just stayed away from it. He was more worried about appointments for judges. He's more worried about doing shady shit to help himself with favors to try and set up a dynasty of a dictatorship of himself than that kind of stuff. You can say, oh, he didn't start any wars or anything. He didn't know how. He's just too stupid. And I'm glad that he didn't start any wars, but in some ways he continued stuff that was already going on, and maybe he ended a couple things. I mean, I'll get behind this a little bit, but you have to realize that many experts have said Donald Trump is one of the worst foreign policy presidents ever because he doesn't know what he's doing. He really doesn't know what he's doing when it has to do with that. And they would try and brief him. They'd come and bring him the papers in the morning. He said, I don't need to read these. He actually stopped asking. He started asking them to stop bringing him the details every day that he's supposed to get to keep up with the president's job. He actually asked them to stop sending it to him. So, yeah. All right, let's keep going. Isaac saying, I think Lex needs a Jason Tatum card to rip up at the NBA restaurant. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Yeah, I don't have any good Boston Celtic cards yet. I wouldn't rip a Jaylen Brown, but maybe if I get a Jason Tatum, maybe I'll do that. That'd be fun. Yeah, we'll do it right in front of him. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Blackhawk saying, I think Kyle will be our vet off the bench if the Clippers don't get him. You want Kyle Lowry to come back and play for the Raptors again? Man, that'd be fun. In some ways, I'd kind of like to see Kyle Lowry play next to Scotty Barnes because that would be fun in some ways. I don't know what's going to happen with Kyle this summer. I know he's a free agent, though. And I know that in some ways, maybe the Philadelphia dream's already been lived and he doesn't need to come back there. Who knows? This is very interesting what you're saying. Kyle with Kawhi, is that what you're saying is the other thing? Neil, you're awesome, man. Very, very interesting what you're saying. I'm going to give you a dunk for talking about Kyle Lowry returning here. Now, both him and DeMar have said the only way they come back to Toronto is if the other one's coming too. So 35 for you, my guy. You got a Coloco right there. David saying, I can see Lowry coming back for sure. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't be against it at all. I'd love it. But I don't see it totally. I haven't really thought about it until y'all brought it up just now. It's kind of interesting. We got the space? Maybe. David saying politics are crazy and Trump may be clueless, but does Biden actually know what is happening? He sounds confused usually. No, he knows what he's doing. This is the thing. Biden's been in politics his whole life. He's been a person that's been involved in everything. I love Joe Biden. I'm not against him. Now, I understand he's complicit in this genocide right now. He's complicit in this awful thing that's happening here. In fact, he's kind of been like lying. He said he would tell Netanyahu, if you go to that camp and start bombing it, well, you're in big trouble with me. But he welched on that. he's not cutting off funding for them, even though they're doing this despicable thing that they've been doing the last week or so. So, I mean, Biden has his faults, but I will say this: he's pro-union, he's pro-worker, and he is doing some things domestically in the United States, reversing Trump stuff as far as hurting the little guy, as far as going against monopolies, as far as antitrust, as far as things like that. And the infrastructure bill that he did is huge. It's caused a lot of jobs, and it has really helped the economy. So everybody's got their lumps and stuff like that. Joe Biden is a career politician. He understands Washington and the diplomacy of the world way better than Trump does. So, and the Sleepy Joe motif is bullshit. Listen, yeah, these guys are ancient. They're old, and maybe they shouldn't be in charge, and maybe we should have some young leadership. But that's what they're presenting us with. The Grove people. They're saying, well, we'll put Trump and Biden in front of them. Well, if Trump doesn't get there because of his legality problems, well, we'll have to see who the Republicans come around with otherwise. But in some ways, Trump is really messing up the Republicans right now because he wants that spot so bad, he's holding it. And honestly, I don't think he has a realistic chance to be on the ballot this fall because of his recent conviction. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it all pans out. In some ways, Trump is helping the Democrats by hanging around too long. He really is. He really is. It's kind of crazy. All right, let's keep going. We are really full politics today, but that's fine. We're just going to take one day today for this. It's crazy. Let's see. I'm saying I have two. You have two Goran Dragiches? All right, rip one of them up and keep one just in case. Kareem saying, happy birthday to Neon Moon. Alley-oop to you, homie. There you go. I like that. All right, there you go. We're going to give Cowboy an alley-oop in his absence. 53 dunks for Cowboy. A nice assist from full-ass Stockton there. Let's see. David saying, Kyle said that he was going to retire a Raptor. He changed his mind. He needs DeMar too. No, David, you don't understand how these guys do this. Like, it's in any sport. That doesn't mean they're going to actually play for a while. What it means is Kyle, when he's done playing, he will leave whatever team he's on, regardless of who it is, any of the 30 teams, and he will come and sign a one-day contract with the Raptors, a one-day contract, and it may be for like $10 or something like that, something stupid. And he will say, I'm a Raptor, and now I'm retiring. It doesn't mean he's going to play for us. It just means he will officially sign a ceremonial contract that says, I'm a Raptor today, and I'm retiring as a Raptor. It doesn't mean he'll actually play for us again. That's the way that's usually done in sports. It's been done in baseball. It's been done in hockey. It's been done in football. When a player really loves a team and they say, I want to retire as this player on this team, that doesn't mean they're going to go play for that team at the end of their career. That just means that they're going to sign a one-day contract and retire as that team player. That's what that means. But yes, it's very public that DeMar and Kyle have both said coming to Toronto without each other is not going to happen. So they're a package deal. Kyle can't come to Toronto and feel right if DeMar's not in the locker room with him for some reason. And the same thing for DeMar. DeMar said, I only go back to Toronto if Kyle's there because that's when it's fun, is what it is. So that's how, I hope that explains it to you right there. Mike's saying Trump wasn't bickering with small fish like poor Russia, et cetera, and went to put China in check because they are the ones that have built an advanced country on the back of mistreating the poor. So is the U.S. I mean, all these countries have. Russia, China. Let's not act like we're any better than China over here. U.S. has just as many people incarcerated as China to a degree. There's human rights violations in the U.S. just as much. It's just we'd like to expose all their human rights violations all over the place. So, yeah, we're just as bad as China. Don't make it out to act like we're better than China or anything, the U.S. Canada's different. I should distinguish that we're Canadians and we're a little bit less as bad as the Americans, but in some ways we are just as bad as them. We are. So, yeah, what you're describing, you could have turned around and just described the U.S. in the same way. All right, let's see. Are you pro-Trump, Mike? Seriously, because that ain't gonna fly with me. Seriously. Blackhawk saying it's not about Biden or Trump. It is the team that matters, and we know for sure Trump picks losers. Yeah. It's gonna be hilarious. Honestly, I in some ways really love Donald Trump. As much as I hate Donald Trump, I love him. because he has been such a failure and such a bad look in so many different ways. He has absolutely destroyed the Republican Party. He really has. He really has. In some ways, for all the crazy ass shit he's saying, all the despicable kind of things he does, in some ways, I love how he's absolutely dismantled that party on the other side. And they're in chaos and disarray, fragmented, and they are not organized for this political cycle. In fact, they're going to be fucked up this fall. Watch. The Democrats will hold strong. And in some ways, they're going to lose seats, the Republicans, and the Democrats will have even more power in the fall. Watch. Because honestly, they're going too far with Roe versus Wade stuff, and that's pissing women off. And women will come out and vote against the Republicans just because they're anti-abortion. Yeah, it's that simple right there. It's that simple right there. Yeah, Trevor J saying next season for Raptors home games, I will try and bring as many people up to Toronto for home games. Ooh, Trevor, if you're going to do that, you better call me. I'll come with you. I want to be in the Trevor Fun crew. Yeah, let's get as many RFF involved in that. If you're going to be buying tickets for people, yeah, you better put us in line. I would love that. Trevor, I have wanted to meet you so badly in the couple years I've met you on this channel. And now it's like, if you are going to do this next season, like you did in other places around the league, you were jumping from arena to arena going to Raptors road games. Hey, listen, I'm all about this. Come home and show us some tickets and we will come with you. You can get all of us down there. Everybody's on this channel that's in the Toronto area. Oh my gosh, Trevor, you would be awesome. That would be amazing, Commissioner Fun. I'll pay for the ticket too. I don't care. I just want to go with you, my guy. That's right. Blackhawks saying Bulls will re-sign DeMar. That's what I'm hearing too. DeMar loves Chicago, first of all. He doesn't really want to leave Chicago. But in some ways, you know what? They need to make changes. And they are going to move on from Zach LaVine. It's what it sounds like. The price is lowering right now for Zach LaVine. They realized that what they wanted to get for him last year was just not realistic. And in some ways, they have to eat some crow and lower the price on what they want to get back for Zach. But that is a priority this summer for the Bulls franchise, is to move Zach LaVine and get some new pieces around the other guys that are still there. I know DeMar loves playing with Vucevic. They're old teammates from university. And in some ways, if they can clear up things with Ball and LaVine, they could actually make a good Bulls team somehow, some way. It's just those two guys have absolutely screwed them up the last few years, Zach LaVine and Lonzo Ball. So if they can move LaVine, even if they're taking a cut on what they originally wanted for him, that may be the healthiest thing for them right now. And I could see DeMar staying. Yeah, David's saying good. Wayne saying, Mike, get your head clear. He gave orders to assassinate Iranian general. That could start a war. It didn't because Iran can't match USA. Trump is a bully of the worst type. Trump appeals to idiots. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to agree with Wayne on this for sure. And there's another assassination of an Iranian official just recently. Really crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I'm not going to be pro-Trump. The only way I'm pro-Trump is thank you for ruining the Republican Party. The things that he's done in the talking points from MAGA and Republicans about why he's great and this is why he's great and this is all bullshit. It's all bullshit. He's an absolute criminal. He's a mobster. And talking about how people make their fortunes. Well, the Trump family made their money off of being slumlords. They were slumlords in the early 1900s in New York, and they gouged and mistreated poor and minority people in the New York area to make their fortune. So everything Trump is made from is from subjugating poor and minority people in the New York area with their housing. So you go ahead and champion Trump in this bullshit. They were slumlords. And that is how the Trump family fortune was built. So I'm going to say that right there. Amit's saying no to Jason Tatum cards. Man, I would say send me one. I might rip it up. But let's see. David's saying if Trump is incarcerated, the Secret Service will have to monitor him 24/7 since he's an ex-president. Well, this is what I'm going to say. I don't think he'll go to prison, because that's just how the way things work in the U.S. If you have money, you don't ever spend time in prison. And there's stupid people there that will pay money to get him out. I will say this, as long as his convictions and the things that have happened to him negate him from being able to run for president, we're good. We are good. I don't care if he goes to jail and he rots in jail. Some people care about that and really want that. Some ways that would be healthy for democracy to see somebody like him have that happen to him. But as long as he is negated from being eligible to be the next president of the world, the president of the United States, sorry, excuse me, then we're good. We're good. I don't need to be so punitive because in some ways I understand that is a cost that's not worth it. Paying some Secret Service to watch him in jail. If somebody shanks him, hey, that's great. But him just being at home and being under house arrest at his house, in some ways that's better. In some ways, because it would be a circus show and all kinds of stuff. In some ways, we just want him to go away from the media because he shouldn't be relevant at a certain point. His relevance is really manufactured by himself. And in some ways, people want him to just go away on both sides. Trust me. They really do. Blackhawks saying Bulls need to get rid of Levine. Yeah, they will. Watch. That is their priority this summer. They've already said it. And they will trade him on a discount at this point. Full ass is saying they're going to have to remove the question, have you ever been convicted of a crime off your job applications if Trump is reelected for president? I mean, that's true. In some ways, that's the only fair for every common citizen. But once again, this world isn't fair. There's different rules played for by the amount of money in your account in the bank. And, that's just how it is. I just recently watched that Wonka movie with Timothy Chalamet. And it's not anything like anything that Roald Dahl wrote, but it has some very specific messages in it where the greedy will hurt the needy every single time. And that's true. That is true right there. The greedy will hurt the needy every single time. That's right. Mike's saying ceremonial contract is a real CBA contract type. It's not a contract with term. Okay, I'm not even sure what that's in reference to. Maybe David had a message that I didn't see. David's saying, hard to find Americans who are pro-Trump until election day, and then suddenly they surface. No, I can find them. I know where they are, David. Some of them are my classmates from Tallahassee, Florida. Some of them are friends with me on Facebook still to this day. And they are people on Truth Social. There are people that are MAGA. There are people that are not very smart. Let's just put it that way. And that's part of the problem. If you're not very intellectual, if you're not very smart, well, you can have your perception of reality very manipulated easily. And that is part of the problem there. The low IQ people in the States easily fall into being sheep for Trump. And there are a lot of them out there. But the problem is that when Trump had success before, and he did not beat Hillary, he cheated and he won. He came out and said he won preemptively before the counts. It was all counted, and it was a controversy. He had not actually won yet. He came out and said that he had won, and he was not actually going to win. Hillary was going to win. So he came and stole it that night, and they couldn't do anything because it would have been such a crazy controversy and a crazy mess. So they just went with it. It's crazy. Hillary should have won. She had won, but Trump jumped in and said, I won victory ahead of it to steal it. So he didn't even win that time. Now, the last election, Biden stomped him. And the other thing is that Trump absolutely needs the independents, the people in between the Democrats and the Republicans. Sure, he has a MAGA base that's absolutely stupid and delusional for him. But there's smart independents that voted for him before that will not now because they are smart enough to understand the truth about him at this point. And that's where he's going to mess up. He won't have the votes because the people in the middle that might have supported him before have opened their eyes. And that's how it's going to go down right there. I'm going to tell you right now. That's how it's going to go down right there. Blackhawks saying Bulls can live without Levine and Knicks can live without Randall. Trades need to happen. Yeah, I'm hearing all kinds of crazy New York trades perspective right now that center around Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, and a couple of the other Knicks that are on there. That they want to go into new looks. Of course, they still want Mikal Bridges. They're still thinking big pie in the sky kind of moves like Donovan Mitchell or Joel Embiid. So, yeah, it's very interesting what the Knicks are trying to talk about doing. They're even talking about doing things like trying to get Paul George. There's all kinds of weird trade talk and different things. There could be some switching up. A lot of Knicks fans just want to run it back with the nucleus that just did stuff. And they say, well, why don't we let Julius get healthy and come back and see what we would look like with him next to OG? We never really saw that. Well, I think New York may shoot themselves in the foot and make a big move this summer and it may hurt the really good chemistry they had in the second half of the season this past year. So we'll have to see. We'll keep abreast of that in the comings and goings this summer. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. David saying, Raymond Jacob, are you here? Are you coming on the 8th? That's what I'd love to see. Raymond is a lurker. He watches us still, and he does come to our events still just to come and say hi. And I hope he does. Raymond, come to the NBA restaurant next Saturday at 4 p.m. Down at the Queen's Key. We will all be there like normal, and we would love to see you. The possessor of the Vince Carter bobblehead. That's right. He got the Vince Carter bobblehead that day. It's awesome. Blackhawks saying the wild card trade will be Cat. That's another name I've heard that New York is trying to get Cat to come to New York. It's crazy, crazy. Monique is here, super fan. Monique Lawrence, good morning, Raptor Freak family. Good morning to you, super fan. David saying, I agree with Wayne. However, there are a lot of idiots out there. Yeah, listen, watch and you'll see how it all goes down. Biden's doing great, honestly. He's other than the war, he's very popular. He's popular because he has added jobs. He's popular because the economy is doing better. He's popular because he is fighting for the working man as far as going to union meetings and standing for unions. So he has a lot of good support in certain areas. Now, some very far left people like me are not impressed with him with funding Israel with their war machine. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of gripes about Biden in certain ways. He's going after antitrust, and that's huge to bust up monopolies and them gouging us with grocery prices and stuff like that. So Mike's saying, I'm pro common sense and don't believe everything the media says. I've seen progressive seeming politicians that turn out to be greedy corporate plants push the virtue signaling, but don't really care. Well, the whole system is broken in the end, Mike, because money is running it. The corporations have puppet politicians. I'm not stupid. I understand that Trudeau and Biden are not the best people to be leading our countries. But unfortunately, the choices we get are the ones that are presented by us, by the people who decide it. And that's too bad. I would love Bernie Sanders to be the president of the United States. I think he would do an amazing job. I think that Gil Palinalosa would have been a much better mayor for the city of Toronto than even Olivia Chow, and for sure better than the guy before, John Tory. So I get what you're saying, and we can be jaded and be like, yeah, this and this, but we have to try and go for the best option between the two bad options. There's never going to be a perfect option. Trust me. Biden is not a perfect option, but when you have to look at the two options we're given, he's definitely the better option. So that's what we got to look at, Mike, when we're using common sense and sussing out politics and things like that. Let's figure out which one's the worst and go against them. Because honestly, that's the way politics is right now. They're not the best choices. Let's kind of get the one that's not as bad as the other, is what I'm saying. Yeah. And you can say virtue signaling, whatever you want. That's a term I hate. Because honestly, people should want to be out there being virtuous and thinking about things. And even if it's not totally genuine, if they do things that are good and they happen to do good things, that shouldn't, even if it's performative, who cares? They're doing good things for things. And that in some ways, I hate that term because it tries to tell people to stop being good. Oh, you're just virtue signaling. No, I'm just trying to do what's right. And maybe, yeah, I get a couple kudos and there's some publicity here with some cameras and stuff like that, like Justin Trudeau being at WNBA Day. Some people may say that's virtue signaling. Maybe that's Justin just coming to support the WNBA in a big moment for women in Canada, and that's all it is. Sure, oh, it's a photo op. It's virtue signaling. No, he's there. He's showing support, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal. I feel like that's a pessimistic kind of jaded term that's used by anti-woke, kind of right-leaning people that kind of hate people that are trying to be virtuous. And you know what? Even if you're virtue signaling and it's not totally honest or earnest, you're still doing a good act. I'm for you. I don't care. I don't care. Let's see. Wayne's saying propaganda on China. I find it funny that people who shop at Walmart are conservative and against China. Seems like they have no idea of the country of origin. People are sleepy. Where's the wall? That's hilarious. Wayne's saying that, like, look, you're anti-China. You're for America, but everything in Walmart's cheap and made by China. It's funny. No, I mean, seriously, China's got its problems, trust me. But every problem that's in China is in the United States. And if they look themselves in the mirror, they see that it's the same. It's the same. Some people say, no, there's freedom. We can speak what we want. Is that actually true? There's some people that speak out and they go to jail in the United States. And I'm just saying, we're not that much better than Russia or China for free speech. Trust me. We think we are, but we're not. We're not, Colin Kaepernick. No, we're not. No, we're not. Blackhawk saying Trump's foreign policy is to make under the table deals for himself. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Neil is exactly right. And that was what was evident in China. That's why Ivanka and Jared Kushner kept going over there. They were making sweetheart deals for Trump companies while acting as U.S. officials for the government. That is absolutely criminal. And it's absolutely something that they have a paper trail on. And if they really want to go after them for that too, they will down the road. That's the thing. Trump's cases are going to go on and on and on and on because he has broken so many freaking laws all over the place that he's just going to keep having cases, whether it's Stormy Daniels, whether it's the woman he raped, whether it's this or that. He's just going to continue to have lawsuits after lawsuits, and they're going to nail him, each and every one of them. This is the first one just last week where he got the guilty charges. They're going to keep nailing him. That was dirty what they did over there, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump with deals with China. Trust me, it's very dirty what they did. Let's see. David saying, I don't think it negates him from running for president, but he's allowed to vote. Laugh out loud. That's crazy. People are saying that. Well, they need to change the rules, obviously. If Arnold Schwarzenegger can't run for president because he's not a natural born American, why the hell can a felon run for president? Well, is it just that veil's lifted and criminals run this country anyway? So why would we have a rule that said felons can't be president? Because they're all criminals on the down low underneath anyway. This is great. Tom's saying this is a great news, and he's right. Apparently, because now Trump is a felon, he's not allowed to come to Canada. That is the rule. So that's awesome. So stay out. Never come back to Canada. He probably like, well, I never wanted to come back to Canada ever again. Disgraceful country. Very, very poor country. Very shit country. It's a shithole. Canada. Never want to come back there again. Yeah. All right. That's probably what he would say about that, the stupid ass. Tommy, you're getting a 3-pointer for reminding me something beautiful. That now that Trump is a felon, he cannot come into Canada. Yes. Wayne's saying it's strange, can't vote in some places, but can run for president. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, this is the Supreme Court that he chose. It's helping him with this kind of bullshit. Honestly, Supreme Court is not mean jack shit at this point. They're a bunch of hands made and tailed motherfuckers up there. They're insurrectionists. They want Trump to be a dictator, Alito and Roberts and Thomas, these pieces of crap. Yeah, the Supreme Court is really messed up. The ladies that are on there, other than the Handmaid's Tale idiot that Trump put in there, they're trying to hold it down. Sotomayor, Johnson. Yeah, they're trying to hold it down. Elena, Kagan. But the other ones, they're problems. They're problems. It's been very calculated by the Heritage and the AEI and all the Republican think tanks to get control of the Supreme Court to be able to do this kind of shit that they're doing now, like overturning Roe versus Wade, like helping Trump in a weird way that's absolutely unfair and isn't really partial to the rule of law for the United States and the Constitution. Yeah, these people aren't playing by the constitutional rules anymore. They're playing by who's putting money in my back pocket left and right, and it's usually corporations. So, yeah, it's messed up. It's messed up. The Supreme Court is helping Trump just to stick around and have a chance still. Let's see. Bonkers. That's right. I agree with David and Wayne for sure. Monique saying you changed the topic up quick today. Yeah, I did. And in some ways, it's because I want to have a gambling topic in another day when I can really focus on it. Mike is saying, I think people are looking at things wrong. It's not about Trump being not politically correct. The issue is why Trump is relevant. The answer is because the Democrats are showing they are better. They aren't. The answer is because the Dems aren't showing they are better by far. Well, Mike, what do you want? First of all, you're here in Canada. In some ways, I get to vote in that election down there because I am an American citizen. And I mean, what do you want, Mike? Like, are you anti-Biden and pro-Trump? Like, I just don't get it. You've got to understand that even though Biden has problems and stuff like that, he's a much better choice. Now, the Democratic Party in some ways is a dummy hand in a bridge game. They're not trying to do anything. They're kind of like a false kind of like opponent that's really kind of like, oh no, we'll roll over and let them do whatever. They kind of showing the resistance for the people, but they're not really showing teeth or doing anything substantial to actually help the people. I get that. And it's annoying. Yeah, I'm not a Democrat. I left the Democratic Party a couple of years ago because I got disenchanted with the way they were doing things. So I consider myself more of an independent and I'm more of a Bernie Sandersite. And in this country, I'm an NDP. So it's a similar kind of thing. I don't really consider myself PC or liberal. So it's a weird thing. I get your frustration with the Democratic Party, but because they have a two-party system down there, there's not very much choice. And well, I'd love for Bernie Sanders to champion a third party that came out that had more independents, more middle ground people, more sensible people that were willing to try and make the government work. But the government in the United States is set up to be a free zone where nothing gets done because one side is obstructionist and they're doing everything possible, even if it's good legislation at this point, just because it comes from the other side, they are blocking it. So the government in the United States is broken. And in any which way you slice it, there's problems down there. So if you want to game it for the best, pick the best choice out of the ones. And honestly, I'm gonna vote for Biden again this year, even though I'm against what he's doing to help Israel. That is one of the only main things that I have against him right now. There's so much more that he's doing well. So I mean, we can try and false equivalency the Republicans and the Democrats, but the truth is, the Republicans are crazy ass raven lunatics that want no regulations and want to just run roughshod over our natural world and everybody. And they're anti everybody who's not Christian and white. And second, the Democrats are lame ducks that aren't fighting. They're wimps and they ain't trying to do jack shit. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And in some ways, I wish the Democrats had more teeth and would hold their own and fight against the Republican Party a little bit more dirty like they do. In some ways, I wish they would. Yeah, I would. Yeah, let's see. Monique saying Raptors owners stay great forever. That's right. Larry was on the ones. I say he's a good guy. We love Larry Tannenbaum. Larry Tannenbaum built this city. He built this city on concrete. Yeah, that's right. Kilmer Group. He built this city. He built a lot of these buildings in Toronto because he mixed the concrete. Larry Tannenbaum. That's right. Wayne saying Trump can win due to impact of social media. USA economy is doing good, but the population says it's shit. Report came out emphasizing most concepts held by people are wrong. The hip hop generation equals LOAT. I'm not even lost, I guess, is what he's trying to say. Equals lost. You know, perception is reality, but that's the thing. You know, also, a lot of those people, they may not be motivated to vote. That's another part of the weapon they use is just, they're all bad. Why should we even vote? Some people will say that too. Fiercey is here. Good to see Fiercey. Good morning, fam, and happy Sunday. Joining in late today. Glad I caught a bit. Happy birthday to Cowboy and Neon Moon. That's right. Canadian Cowboy, the Neon Moon. That's right. Happy birthday to him. Mike saying actions speak more than signaling. People show virtue every day with saying a word most of the time. I mean, I get what you're saying, Mike, but even if it's just doing something and even if it's performative, it's still doing something. Let's just put it that way. Now, you know, actions speak louder than words, sure. But, you know, what if the signaling is actually doing an action at the same time? That's what I'm trying to say to you. Let's not be against people trying to do virtuous things and say, oh, you're just virtue signaling. That's bullshit. That's a made up bullshit thing to entice people to stop trying to do nice things because, oh, you're just trying to look good. That's bullshit. Let people look good. If Larry David wants his name on the wing of whatever museum he wants to do and he doesn't want to be anonymous, let him virtue signal himself. Is whatever. Ted Dance is anonymous. He doesn't want to do it that way. Whatever. They both did the same thing. It's both good. So what if Larry wanted his name on there? You know, that's all I'm saying. Blackhawk saying Trump has never been relevant. He has no platform for the people. He tries to stoke fires, and you can only do that for so long. This is true. This is true. He has no policies. He's all about himself and power. He's all about enriching himself. He's the same as Doug Ford. Doug Ford doesn't really have real policies. Buck a beer, whatever. That's some bullshit he saw on The Simpsons. Nah, These guys want to do rackets on us. They're mobsters. They're basically mobsters. Doug Ford, Donald Trump, they're the same kind of animal. They get involved in the politics to meet people and make sweetheart deals and enrich themselves in backroom deals. And that's what these dudes are doing. And both of them did it very extensively behind the scenes. Ford's still doing it here. It's disgusting that Doug Ford isn't in more trouble here in Ontario. He should be, but obviously he's got the OPP in his pocket. So it's so messed up. And yeah, Trump, he's a criminal and he's a mobster and he runs rackets. And don't be fooled by him, Mike. He's running rackets behind our eyes we don't see. And he is enriching himself and trying to enrich himself in all kinds of shady ass ways. Watch. Whether it's charging the Secret Service so much money while he stays in Mar-a-Lago and he enriches himself by taking the U.S. government taxpayer-funded money to pay himself to have all the agents staying in there. He did all the stuff at Mar-a-Lago because he wanted the bills to come to him. I mean, that's right there. That's messed up. And that is actually against the law and really not right to do. Yeah. C4C is saying a felon can't vote for themselves, I do believe. Well, that's at least good. Good to see you, C4C. Blackhawk saying PP loans became Trump bucks, aka all about them. There you go. David saying, haha, doing a great impression. That was a pretty good Trump. I don't do Trump very often, but yeah, I might have done a pretty good job today. Happy belated birthday to Bradley. I like that, Monique. David's saying, yeah, pretty good, Donald. Mike saying, if the Dems were getting great results, Trump would have been a joke, but the Dems have been bank, corporate, and other countries focused while the wealth gap just got wider and wider. Well, in some ways, I would say what Biden's done in his administration these past 4 years has helped stop that to a degree, as far as giving more jobs to people, creating more better jobs, and going after, like I said, antitrust stuff. This is really important, Mike. The fact that he's going after monopolies and corporations that are trying to hedge certain industries to really drive up prices, that's really important. And that may be one of the most important fights right now on North America, is fighting the grocery companies, fighting the food producers, fighting the people that are trying to consolidate these companies and have a whole strong arm on how much we pay for stuff by making the prices what they want. You know, once again, I'll allude to the Wonka movie that came out with Timothy Chalamet and Keegan-Michael Key, that the chocolate makers, Slugworth and the two other ones, conspired together to drive the prices of chocolate up between the three companies. Now, if you only have three oil companies, you only have three companies that control meat, control bread, they can conspire together to drive up food prices like they have in the last couple years. And that is what greedflation is. Now, what Biden is trying to do is come after them for this to get prices down for the common man. So, Mike, you tell me that he's not trying to help with the ever-growing gap in inequality and wealth. Because that's not true, Mike. He is actually helping people, and he's doing it very much so. So in some ways, I don't know where you get your information. As much as Amit does not want to listen to Israeli TV because of propaganda, Mike, you may be getting propagandized in certain ways that you may not realize. Let's see. Blackhawk saying, I've always been an independent. There you go. In Canada, I call it NDP. Yeah, and that's who I'm with right there. Mike saying, I claim no party. I'm for the people. There you go. I can respect that too. In some ways, I go with the NDP just because they align very well with me. But I see a lot of green politics that I very much agree with, too. I really like Elizabeth May. And Green Party is probably my second party before Liberal. Yeah, I'm really not with the Liberals. I really, really am not. I like Trudeau. I think Trudeau's been a great prime minister. I'm not mad at him like everybody irrationally is mad at him. I think that he's done pretty good. But he is a corporate puppet, and he's not perfect. But I'll tell you for damn sure, he's better than any PC alternative that would have been in charge at this point. So, yeah, I'm glad our government is liberal because at least it's not PC. I will say that right there for sure. Wayne saying conservatives played the long game. Mike needs to understand that democracy needs both sides to work together. By not participating, the opposition obstructs the other side. Then no one sees anything happen. Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem in the States. They're in gridlock. They cannot pass good, very much needed legislation, like things like aid for Ukraine, or that was a huge thing that was held up recently by Republicans, just because it was a Democratic bill. And that's the thing; they're not looking at what's in the bill and whether it's good for the people or not. They just see that where it emanates from is the other side, and they say, no, no, we're not going with it. We're against it, no matter what. It's democratic built. We are against it. They're just obstructionists at this point. They're not looking at it for the people and working as a government together. They're just, no, we're not talking to you. It's a wall, and everything you bring forward, we reject. And that's not how a bicameral or a two-party system should be working, because nothing will get done. And Wayne's exactly right. Trevor's saying, American government, it's a business. This country is run like a business. Who have the most money, have the most say, and makes the laws. Yeah, sad but true. This right here. And it sets the tone for everything, whether it's the NBA or anything else. This right here. Blackhawk saying all parties will back Israel because it's institutionalized. Well, in some ways, the powers that be, because there are people out there that will try and cancel and ruin people for supporting Palestine right now, just to be safe. Some of the people that are the wealthiest to be able to support politicians, they can't be anti-Israel because they know if they say something about it, well, there may be a donor that's willing to give them some millions of dollars that won't after that. So in some ways, they're just playing for the money. And that's the whole reason right there. Yeah. In some ways, it is institutionalized. And Neil is exactly right. There's people in very high places of power that absolutely ensure the U.S. is undying and unphasing support for the state of Israel. Right there. Yeah. Wayne's saying, ditto that, Trevor. USA is a corporation. Yeah. And our country is too, on the down low, sadly, because in some ways I hate it. The U.S. influences Canada so much. And in some ways, what happens in the U.S. happens to a degree here also. There's always going to be some Canadian copycat that's going to want to do what, Trump begets Ford, is what I'm saying. It's just like that. It's just like that. There's always going to be a copycat. Mike saying, not gonna lie, America is a mess right now. Stores closing from extreme theft, from no convictions, migrant gangs going nuts. The Dems been creating issues without foresight or planning. See, you are definitely trapped in a MAGA hole, Mike. From what you're saying right there, that is absolutely the craziest takes, because that's not what's happening. I've lived in the States. I've lived half my life in the States. I know the truth about the States. And what you're saying is crazy. That's fear-mongering stuff that you just spoke about, Mike. They're trying to make you scared. Stores closing from extreme theft. Whose side are you on? Are you on the side of Target and Walmart? I am fully for people stealing things from the grocery store right now. They are stealing from us. If a mother who needs to feed a baby wants to go steal formula from the grocery store, go right ahead. You have my seal of approval. You've got to understand where your priorities are. Whose side are you on? Like Cool Cat says, you can be on the side of the owners or the players. Some people get mad because the players get paid so much. Well, do you know how much the owners make? Why would you get mad at the people who are buying the products? They're getting robbed by the prices and the price gouging, and you're standing up for the corporations, Mike? What the fuck is wrong with you, bro? You're falling for some really heavy propaganda that's right wing, and you don't even realize it, my guy. You're saying that they're closing stores and there's no convictions? That sounds like complete right-wing made-up propaganda to be a part of it's anti-immigrant, and part of it is also like, why are you taking the side against the powerful? You're on the powerful side when you say, oh, these people are stealing and there's no convictions for them stealing. Well, who the fuck is stealing more? The people that you're talking about protecting, the top people. The people that can get away with it. Don't forget about the mom and dad, the people that are just trying to feed their kids. You want to know who the criminals are? They're the people that are the CEOs of the companies. So you go ahead and you get mad at a single mother who's trying to feed 3 children because she stole her groceries. You go ahead, Mike. Yeah, you go ahead. That's you're falling for some crazy shit, Mike. And I don't know who you're listening to. You could be listening to some crazy right-wing radio here in Canada. You could be going to certain websites. I'm just saying, you're getting propagandized. I can tell. Because also you're saying migrant gangs are going nuts. Where? Where is this happening? Where is the migrant gangs going nuts? And where is the specifics of this? Okay, there's some fear-mongering in Europe. Talking about, oh, these migrant gangs are coming to our cities and they're absolutely raping our women and stealing and they're awful and all. Absolute bullshit. Absolute horse crap. There may be some minority of those people that are bad and they're doing criminality, but it's the same percentages as the people that lived there before also. This is the thing. People are going to hear the horror stories, the absolute horror stories, and they're going to run with it and think that it's just commonplace. This is absolute bullshit. This migrant gangs are going nuts. Where are these migrant gangs? And who are they? What nationality? And where are you hearing this about in the United States? Because I'll tell you right now, this shit is not happening. If you're talking about MS5 from Mexico, and there's some sort of migrant gang, and that Trump keeps talking about them, they're doing all this and this and this. Bullshit. The biggest organized crime syndicate in the world is the U.S. government and the U.S. police force and military. You don't. The organized crime is in those institutions. These little gangs are piddly and nothing. Maybe territorial. Maybe there's gangs in L.A. I didn't see no gangs in Tallahassee other than gangs that are just people that lived in Tallahassee already. Who are these migrant gangs? You're talking about Mexicans coming across the border and taking the jobs and making gangs and being criminals running around? This is bullshit. This is absolute bullshit, Mike. And in this comment right here makes me realize you've fallen in an echo chamber that is full of right-wing propaganda that is absolute horse crap. And you're falling for it. You say you're center. You say you don't have a party. Well, you're getting duped to go in the wrong direction by some really crazy like stuff. I lived in the States. I lived in a very poor area and I saw what's going on down there. And what you're saying is just not accurate. All right. Let's see. You're saying the Dems have been creating issues. Now, see, are you going to get in this whole diatribe that the Democratic mayors of Seattle and San Francisco are absolute fails because there's drug abuse and people are homeless on the streets? Don't you realize that a lot of this stuff has been caused by the inequality and wealth? That people are losing their homes because of greedy ass corporations buying up all of the housing in the United States. So just like in Toronto, more and more people are living in parks. Do you not understand that? That like in urban areas like Seattle and San Francisco, they're getting called war zones or just death, horrible places. They're not actually like that. It's just that there's a lot of people that have fallen on hard times. They're living in tents in parks because of greedy ass motherfuckers at the top. So you can go ahead and tell me the Dems are running their cities wrong? No, the greed is centralized, and in some ways in the cities is felt the hardest. And that's just what it is. There's more and more people slipping through the cracks from the middle class, the lower class to poverty. And that's what it is, Mike. Mike, man, I'm really disappointed in the fact that you're in a right-wing echo chamber and that you're being propagandized. Listen, I'm for the people too, but you're not. If you're talking about getting mad at people for not getting convicted for theft and you're believing in imaginary migrant gangs that are terrorizing everyone. Mike's saying the Dems are just as bad as the Republicans. That's the bottom line. That's absolute horse poop. And honestly, people that promote that are very dangerous because seriously, the false equivalency of the Republicans and Democrats is absolutely wrong. One side wants a dictatorship. One side wants to control your body. One side wants to tell you what you can and cannot say and do. The other side is for freedom. The other side is for being able to be yourself, to be trans, to be whatever you want, to be able to have a better life and for everybody equally. The other side is for consolidating power into singular people and dominating with an iron fist. Mike, I'll call you a bootlicker if you really want to make the false equivalency that the Republicans and the Democrats are the same. Nah, dog. You say that and you promote that, that's dangerous because people start to think what you're saying and then they decide, oh, I don't want to vote because they're both bad. No, we all need people to vote and they need to vote for the left side because the right side is totalitarian and we are slipping towards dictatorships in North America if we're not careful. So, Mike, I'm going to say it's irresponsible to say there's a equivalency between the two parties. It's very, very irresponsible right there. Yeah. Yeah, Mike saying theft and handouts raise the cost of things. It's a business equation. Shrinkonomics is a joke. That's been happening for years. All right, you're absolutely off base with that. UBI is going to work. And when it happens, it's going to happen because of AI and modernization of our occupations. In some ways, we're not going to have jobs. In some ways, what are we going to do? We're just going to be, what are we going to be? Well, we may need UBI. And you think handouts are the problem? No, they're not. The problem is that all the wealth has been not trickling down to everybody like they told us it would in the 80s. It's consolidated and hidden in offshore accounts by ultra rich people that are getting richer and richer and richer. The pandemic accelerated that process. And if you really think the handouts are the problem, you are definitely in a right-wing echo chamber that's absolutely full of shit.
and you're being duped, Mike. You're a smart guy. You're logical, but you're absolutely, absolutely wrong on all this. And seriously, I want you to check who you're getting your information from and why you believe these things, because this is not true. Handouts are good for society. In some ways, we need to overcorrect with handouts to the lower brackets of people because they need the help. They desperately need the help. And in some ways, it's not equal or fair, the widening inequality in wages and also in wealth in this society. These people up at the top don't need all this damn money, Mike. If we tax the hell out of them and we give this money to everybody else, is the right way and the right thing to do. So I say tax billionaires to fuck, tax them the equal share. And then all of a sudden, a lot of societal problems will go away, Mike. It's not about giving handouts. Giving handouts is actually good. If you take care of people, if you feed people, you give them a roof, you give them a life where they're comfortable, they don't do crime, Mike. I studied sociology in grad school. You take care of people's needs and they're not out there robbing people. They're not out there doing crazy ass shit. They only do that shit when things are in really, really bad, desperate situations. So you're absolutely exactly oppositely from the right of this. The right of this is take care of the people, they don't do crime, and then boom, we're all in better shape. So you really have a problem with crime? Well, feed the people, you won't have crime. It's as simple as that, Mike. So you can say, oh, handouts. What do you mean handouts? Steph and handouts raise the cost of things. No, you know who's raising the cost of things? A CEO at Walmart saying, you know what? We could get away with rising this up. And the reason why they did this is because of the pandemic. Pandemic shut down everything in the whole world, and they lost money because people didn't go out of their houses to buy things. So they didn't hit their target profits that they wanted to make in 2020. So these assholes are coming back retroactively to try and make the profits that they were supposed to make in 2020 because everybody sat at home. So they raised the prices artificially themselves. They didn't have no reason to do it other than they were greedy. So, Mike, you tell me giving handouts is why everything went up? No, it's because CEOs sat in a boardroom and decided we could get away with this. And they did it in cahoots. So you go ahead and be misguided and completely wrong about what you think, Mike. But I'm going to tell you right now, this ain't going to be the place for you to espouse opinions that are absolutely asinine, especially when you're talking to somebody who went to grad school for sociology, who understands the dynamics of society and the rich and the wealth inequality and the crime and why it happens. Crime happens because people need money to survive and eat. That's why it happens. So if there's UBI and people have enough money to have a house over their heads and money and food on the table, nobody's doing crime. That's the thing. That's why they do it in Europe. There's no crime there because everybody's taken care of because of social systems. They have no reason to do crime. Their needs are met. So, Mike, you go ahead and keep pulling that wool over your eyes and believing that bullshit line coming from people like Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, Donald Trump. You go ahead and keep listening to those idiots because they're going to keep bringing you down the wrong way. I'm telling you right now. You think the price of living has gone up is because of CEOs and their greed and their amazing corporate record profits. There's something not lining up here, Mike. If we're so bad and the people are so bad, why are we starving? And meanwhile, they're having record profits. You tell me who the problem is, Mike. You tell me. Yeah. There you go. All right, let me keep going. I want to wrap it up soon. I am over 2 hours, and I want to finish it right now. So, all right, let's see. Where are we with Blackhawk? All right, he's saying Israel, country with free healthcare for their people, yet they need other countries to pay for their security. No other developed country gets such a sweetheart deal. It's because there's a lot of people with a lot of money in the United States that fully support Israel because they are either from there or they're Jewish or whatever. They're Zionists. And that's what ensconces it. The wealth and part of what I just described, it funnels the war machine. The greed of corporate people that are in charge that support Israel funnels that war machine. What I just described right there. Wayne saying, I engaged with younger black cohort and boy, their cognitive space is dense. There's not much difference between them and MAGA. Trump promised better health care. Where is it? What about the wall? Think. I think it's very much on purpose that they try and confuse people like Mike and try and make people dumber on purpose, whether it's not funding schools like Doug Ford's doing right now in Ontario. He's taking money away from public schools for two reasons: to make people dumber so they're easier to control, and then also to privatize schools so he can make sweetheart deals with his friends to make money off of the schooling system. The other thing that has been done on the down low on this continent for many years, and I realized this when I went over to Europe, is that we have very poor food quality. And the food quality and the nutrition of our children and what we feed them causes them to have lower IQs. And that may be very well on purpose. That, people that have to feed their kids McDonald's every day, well, that kid is not going to develop and grow up as intelligent or smart as somebody who had really good, healthy, nutritious, good food. That's just the damn truth. And that's the sad thing about it. They literally want us to become dumb sheep so they can control us like livestock. So why would they give us good food so that we could be smarter and think for ourselves? Why would they invest in education so that we could think for ourselves and maybe actually want to change the system and upturn it because it's not right? It's exactly what it is right there. All of it right there. Right there. I'm telling you. What about the wall? Exactly, Wayne. Exactly, Wayne. Mischief saying liberals have been in power for 9 years. Who was in power before the liberals? I heard conservatives were. 9 years ago, I wasn't into politics. Yeah, I mean, it may be because you got older, Mischief. I don't know. In some ways, listen, I don't want to make this about liberals and conservatives in Canada. It's a whole other kit and caboodle. We're talking more about America today in some ways. Now, listen, some of the things that happen in society come as an echo of people from before. For instance, let's take the toll road out there that Mike Harris sold us out with. Well, the effects of that was made a decision by a conservative PC long time ago has had horrible ramifications in the decades since. So it's like you can say something was bad, but sometimes there's a lag time between presidencies or prime ministers that their things that they did come around afterwards and show what the effect was later. So you can't really just say just because somebody's in charge. It's like a lot of the things that Barack Obama did really well turned out to happen during Trump's presidency. So that you're going to say Trump was the one who was credited for that? No, that's what I'm saying. And some of the bad things that have happened since Biden has been in power has been because Trump left him a mess. So you got to understand that. Mike's saying it's happening right now. Check out what's happening in NYC and Oakland. Well, if there's people stealing from grocery stores, I have no problem with it, Mike. I really don't, especially as long as they're not family chains. If they're small businesses and they're small little things, no, don't do that. But if it's a big corporate chain, go right ahead. That's what I say right there. If you're watching some footage, you got to watch out too, because they may be showing you just the tip of the iceberg, a little bit of something that's actually not very very prevalent. They may show you an isolated incident and try and make you feel like this is happening all over the place. You've got to understand that also, Mike. Maybe there was one really bad incident that happened in Oakland, but they're putting it on blast, and it's not very common or prevalent anywhere else. It may have been just one thing that happened then, and they're putting it in your face, and they're trying to tell you that this is happening all over the place. So I would just say that. Mike, Monique is saying, great topic, deep thoughts, W stream, keep at it, always good times approaching. Go Larry Tannenbaum, go Raptors for life, Raptor Freak crew strong. I love it, Mo. Thank you, and thank you for the cutoff. I definitely need it. Blackhawk saying baby formula theft is not what they are overwhelmed with in the U.S. The swarm theft is what is causing the hysteria, and it hit jewelry stores in the GTA. Okay, so you're talking about swarm theft? Like where a calculated group of thieves all come in all together and they confuse everything and they just steal a whole bunch of stuff. In some ways, that's kind of like looting or like during riots or stuff like that. In some ways, I mean, that is a problem. That's a crime for sure. And depending on how it goes down, if there's violence or there's stuff like that, yeah, that's no good. Now, once again, I will say sometimes there's like a couple of incidents that make everybody think this is more prevalent than it is. And it may not be as prevalent as everybody thinks. I don't know how many times swarm thefts have happened in the GTA in the last couple of years. Who knows? The cops could tell me. He's like, yeah, well, this has happened maybe 3 times in the last 5 years. I mean, seriously, don't take isolated incidents that happen once that are really crazy and seem crazy and expound into like, oh, must be happening everywhere else then too, is what I would say. Yeah, Amit's saying, I agree with Mo. I think it's time for a cutoff. Amit's like, mercy, uncle, we're done. Mike's saying, Lex, theft raises prices. It's not people stealing food. Everything needs to be locked in cases now. New York State made it so nonviolent offenses are just a ticket, basically. See, that's once again the rhetoric that, all right, the Democratic New York City mayor is too soft on crime. And this is why this is. You're buying into a hysteria of a problem that's actually not really probably a huge problem. Once again, inflation is because CEOs raise the prices and they're greedy at the top. That's pure, simple truth of it. Cut out everything that has to do with theft or anything like that. That's all factored into the way they do their calculations for how they want to do their business. And this is not the issue. They're not raising prices because people are stealing from them. They're raising prices because they like the greed and they want to make the shareholders as rich as possible. And that's what it is, Mike. You can go ahead and blame the little guy, but it's the big guy telling you to blame the little guy that you're falling for right here. So just so you know. Blackhawk saying the Toronto police told the public to let the thieves have it when they are being swarmed. Yeah. In some ways, you don't want to be a vigilante. You don't want to do something stupid. You know, you're not in the movies. You're not John Wayne. You're not Clint Eastwood. You're not Charles Bronson. So don't try and be a vigilante and get yourself hurt or do something stupid. Yeah, that's always the smart move. We don't live in movies. People think they live in a movie and they want to be a hero all of a sudden. Yeah. In some cases, it is important to be a hero in specific situations where it makes sense and you can do something, but not always. In some ways, it's better to just you know. And once again, I will say this: the media uses certain stories to touch things off on y'all. I don't listen to any of the media on TV anywhere anymore. I don't listen to any of them because they all are propagandized. And even like CTV, CP24, CBC, any of the channels here in Toronto, I don't listen to their news anymore. I get my news by reading it because I feel like when they tell you it, they tell it in a way with their voice that makes you feel emotions. That'd be like another swarming attack happened in Yorkdale Mall today. 20 youths ran into a jewelry store and accosted and stole $1 million worth of jewelry today. And, you know, they even use their delivery to try and make you feel certain things. If we're going along with the whole thing about perception is reality, well, they want you to perceive that swarming robberies are a huge problem in Toronto when they probably really aren't. And if they are really worrisome to you, well, just don't be, if you're in that store, just be smart, like Neil's saying, and just don't engage. All right, are they stealing from you? No, they're probably stealing from a big corporation. So seriously, let's think about this. So Mike has linked it to, all right, these thefts are why my groceries are higher. What? That doesn't make any sense. Once again, the theft is happening at the top, and it has nothing to do with any average person. Just trust me on that. Yeah, Isaac saying USA needs a third option. I heard Justin Bieber has dual citizenship. Stop voting the lesser of two weasels. Vote Beaver in 2024. All right, Isaac, you're awesome, man. You can get a 3-pointer for that one. That's hilarious. Don't stop voting for the two lesser weasels. Oh, Isaac's so good. So good. All right, you got 65, my guy. 65. Wow. That's awesome. Blackhawk's laughing. Trevor saying those looting only happens in poor neighborhoods with people with less. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to typecast anything about like anything in some ways. We really don't want to do that. You know, looting has been happening in blackouts. Looting happens when there's chaos. Whenever there's kind of disarray, when people may feel like the police may be preoccupied because there's a disaster, whether it's a hurricane or something like that, sure, there's going to be opportunists that do really messed up things that's criminal, for sure. But once again, those people are real easy to villainize and say, oh, they're the villains. They're on TV. They're doing something that's absolutely wrong. We can tell. But which is worse? Them doing it right in front of us, putting on blast on camera, or the people that are doing it in boardrooms behind our backs and we have no idea about them, and they're doing it instead of like, okay, this person's stealing a couple $100 worth of stuff. They're stealing thousands or millions of dollars at the top. That's what I'm saying, y'all. Y'all can go ahead and go after small potatoes all you want. I'm telling you, the real problems are the people that you don't know anything about. And some of the names I named earlier are people like that. And you only know about them because they own NBA teams. See how I turned it back into the subject of the day? Let's see. Mike saying Blackhawk, it's right. It's mainly swarm theft by younger people. Then they clean shelves and run out and the police do nothing, basically. That's not driving prices up. That's not what it is. It's greedflation. I'm telling you, Mike. That's just a talking point by right-wing propagandists who want you to believe that that's what it is because they always want you to blame the little guy and take the heat off of them. So if you really actually sniffed it out and thought about it, Mike, and listened to me, you'd understand that you're falling for a diversion culprit. And that's what it is. Mischief saying theft in New York is causing inflation. Stores are folding down because of theft. That's what they want you to believe. That's the propaganda that they're wanting you all to believe right now. If some stores have closed, that sucks. It is what it is. But you know what? That is a propaganda piece, y'all. You got to understand that. It's totally propaganda. Wayne's saying, what thief? Focus on the financials. Are those so-called companies tanking on stock exchange? Which one of these companies are going bankrupt? Propaganda. Who believes that nonsense? There you go. Amit saying, I think this political talk has gone too far. I think we should have a cutoff. Amit, I agree with you. I should probably go anyway. I'm over my limit. I'm doing a Lexathon. I'm doing a Lexathon. All right, let me see. Where am I with Mike saying Mischief knows what I'm talking about. NYC is a complete mess at the moment. The issues are actually costing lower income people from inflation, store closures. Once again, I'll tell you the source is different, Mike. And if you don't believe me, that's fine. We can agree to believe different things on this. That is the media's talking piece for you to believe. That's the talking point they want you to believe, Mike. Neil's saying the looting is not just in poor areas. It's not even looting. It's organized theft. Yeah, see, that's what I would think it is. These are like basically like Ocean's 11 crews of like crime syndicates. They could be organized crime. And it's not like random people on the street that are trying to feed their kids are all of a sudden just spontaneously swarming stores to steal stuff. This is very calculated plans by groups of crime syndicates. And that's a totally different thing than what Mike described was the problem. That's a totally different thing. That shouldn't be lumped in as like, oh, people are just looting and stealing stuff, everyday people. No, that is organized crime doing it. And that is a different thing right there. Mike's or Neil saying logical. Lex is showing you how grocery stores are price gouging. Price gouging has the government targeting the CEOs. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier. We might be talking about things that are slightly different subjects and not totally this exact same thing. And that may be part of it right there. Mike saying, I'm looking at it based on logic. I don't watch the right-wing talkers. I notice things from non-political people and people talking about where they live. Well, I mean, all right. I want to give you the benefit of the doubt because I have no idea what sources or news you take in. But I do want to tell you that this is right-wing speak that you are spouting here, that this is stuff that has been very much designed and developed to be a distraction to away from the real problem. And you can go ahead and believe this is the problem, but the problem is at the top. And I'll die on that hill standing this. And you don't have to believe me. I'll agree to disagree with you. I won't say that swarming thefts aren't a problem, but I think they're overblown. I think they're overblown right now. And that they're kind of pushing it as like something like welfare queens. That's another one they'd use. These are dog whistles. These are like things to just distract. It's like welfare queens. They're always taking extra money and they're abusing the system by getting free money. The welfare queen is a myth. And that's what I'm saying. So swarming thefts like this and blaming them for inflation is another myth like that. It's a very much similar kind of one. So let's see. Wayne's saying we'll talk basketball tomorrow. Many of us need to hear topics that the media stay away from because they want to keep their jobs. How can artists be paid percentage of a penny for their work? That's what I'm saying. In some ways, I'm crazy. I will talk about anything. And Wayne, he likes this. He knows that sometimes we won't be on politics all the time, but he does like every once in a while having an outlet to talk about this unfiltered. And in some ways, I'm crazy. I will talk about stuff that, people may be very mad at me for talking openly and outright about. And that's part of the reason why I don't care. I'm just like, you know what? I got to be me. And if people need to be saying some of this stuff just to get this out there, it's important. It's important. Let's see. Blackhawk saying, logical. Did you consider where they get their info from? That's the other part of it. Now, that may be what it is, Mike, that those people are getting their info from the right-wing sources, and then you're just listening to them because they're your friends. I have very good friends that were very left-leaning when they're young that are falling into right-wing echo chambers now. And it's scaring me because they're mostly intelligent people, but they don't understand how they're being manipulated or duped into believing crazy things just because, Joe Rogan's so endearing, or I have one friend that loves Elon Musk, and I'm like, why do you like Elon right now? And she's like, oh, he's so cute, he's so funny, he's just a quirky guy, he has autism. And he's like, see, they're trying to make you like villains. They're trying to make you understand, like, be on their side by duping you into like believing the bad guys are common people. And the problem is the top. It's the 1%. It's the rich. It's the absolutely ultra greedy, rich, wealthy that are trying to write more rules for life, like The Game of Life by Milton Bradley, in their favor to enhance their pocketbooks. And because the government's compromised, they can do willy-nilly. They can get really creative with the ways that they do it. And part of the subterfuge is controlling the media and controlling perception of the masses. So I'm only warning you, Mike, you're a really smart guy and I respect you a lot. And I'm okay with disagreeing you in certain ways today. And I don't want you to think I'm mad at you or anything. I just want you to know, I want you to be a little bit more like aware of, even if those are your friends and they're people that you trust, they may be the ones that are getting duped, and you're getting duped as a proxy in the next part of getting that information. That's all I will say on that one. Mike's saying there's costs associated to every business. It's not too different from running an NBA team in a sense. There's additional cost to every item in the store. Yeah, you're talking more micro level. I'm talking macro level. I say don't swarm and steal from small businesses. Don't swarm and steal from businesses that aren't chains. Yeah, McDonald's, who cares? They're a huge global market that's all around the world. Is it going to hurt them? That's what I'm talking about. There's a distinction. I'm totally against crime and theft against small people that are just trying to get by. I don't want to hear that businesses are closing because people are stealing from them. I don't mind if people are stealing from the corporations, because the corporations are stealing from all of us from the top. And that, I guess that's maybe the difference. You're talking about maybe smaller potatoes than what I'm talking about today in some ways. And also Mike is saying the CEO bonuses and crap is nuts and toxic, but past that, there are things that have a greater effect on the prices of goods. No, that is it. Seriously, Mike, what are you talking about? You're talking about maybe a couple $1,000s worth of equipment or jewelry compared to millions or billions of dollars at the top, as far as parachute payments for outgoing. Like, look at what's happening with Boeing. They're a failure right now because they're failing. They took a bailout from the government. They mismanaged it by doing stock buybacks to enhance more money for shareholders. And meanwhile, they're going against safety regulations, and their product is actually dangerous right now. And meanwhile, they're going to reward a failure of a CEO on his way out with a balloon payment of like $300 million on his way out. That money is a lot of money, Mike. And you're going to try and tell me that goods and services that are stolen from a retail store is anywhere near a $300 million grift on the way out of the Boeing CEO? Come on, man. You know that money is worth more, like 300 million is worth more than 30,000 or 3,000. Come on, Mike. Let's do mathematics here. And let's see the scale of the grift and which one's grifting on a bigger whole other level. Come on now. Open your eyes. Blackhawk saying Loblaws is under scrutiny for price gouging. All the grocery stores are doing it up here in Canada and in the States. And that's why Biden's going after them for antitrust. It's all of a sudden Walmart decided to drop their prices. All of a sudden Amazon just dropped their prices. They did it all together, just like Slugworth and his two chocolate company buddies. They did it together on point. Yeah, there we go. Isaac's ready for the Pearl Day tomorrow. We'll be there tomorrow. Blackhawk saying, I've only seen jewelry and liquor stores hit with swarm theft up here. They're using swarm tactics for home invasion now. That's scary. Well, don't broadcast what you got, because then, nobody's coming. Yeah, that's scary. But you know what? Once again, these are isolated incidents, and this may be not as big a problem as everybody thinks. But the fear of somebody coming into your house and doing a swarming robbery can really strike a lot of fear and can manipulate you to have really strong opinions. You got to see, that's a really good instance, like right there. Oh, I'm worried. Oh man, what if a group came here and robbed me in my house? And you start thinking about that. That's how fear starts right there. How realistic is it? Seriously, think about that. How realistic is it? Wayne saying, you nailed it. Education and food quality. I have young adults. They eat crap. Logical going on one side without mentioning the oil industry making astronomical super profits, which causes items to go up too. Yeah, right there. The price, the price gouging by the OPEC, by the oil companies, contributes to all the prices. Forget about people stealing. oil prices, and some would say the carbon tax or anything. Bullshit. It's the gas companies. They will manipulate the prices. They'll go up, and then everybody has to drive cars to do stuff, deliver things. That makes costs go up, and then prices go up for items then. And that's a big part of it. The oil companies have more to say about inflation than consumers stealing things. That is definitely true right there, what Wayne said. Blackhawk saying the public was not pleased with the police PSA for the home invasion. Yeah, I didn't even see any of that. I didn't even see that because in some ways I'm ignoring the news. In some ways, I really am ignoring the news on most levels. I am not totally ignoring the news as far as I watch Bo. I'll read news stories online and stuff like that. But otherwise, I'm really not trying to keep up with every little detail of every horrific thing that the Toronto media is trying to put on us to be worried about. Because that is part of what I'm trying to say today, is that they control through fear and perception. And if they make you perceive that you should be fearful, well, they've got you, is what I'm saying. I'd rather be ignorant and dumb and not know about these swarming robberies and things like that. Because probably, what is the probability that I'm going to deal with this in my life? Seriously, guys. Seriously. That's what you got to think. They're going to make you be afraid of something that probably would never, ever happen to you. And you're going to judge and base all your politics just off of a fear that is just not rational. I mean, seriously, think about this. Let's Windurst this shit. Come on now. Mike saying Blackhawk and in New York City and Oakland, they have been hitting Safeway and Family Dollar and malls are being hit hard with organized swarming on the daily to the point where Pharma Plus Safeway malls are closing. Well, that's big corporations. I don't care. Those are brands. In some ways, those companies are awful. I'll tell you right now, Dollar General and Family Dollar stores are some of the worst for employing people and paying them nothing and having some crazy ass corporate structure where all this money goes to these people that run it and nothing goes to anybody who runs the stores that are actually there. So good is what I say. Mike, once again, you're giving really specific details about swarmings and this being such a problem. And I really feel like this is just the flavor of the month for the right-wing echo chambers to put fear into people that swarm robberies are the problem right now. Seriously. Come on, man. Blackhawk saying swarming is a problem because there's no counter tactics today to deal with it. Good. Power to people then. Seriously, I'm an anarchist at heart too, in some ways. If the system is broken and there needs to be a little bit of chaos, a little bit of injustice on a smaller level for people that are innocent, sure, I'll be Robin Hood. I have no problem with that. Robin Hood, the story of Robin Hood, what was he doing? Stealing from the rich, giving to the poor. So all these people are Robin Hoods. They're just stealing from the rich to give to themselves who are the poor. So I ain't got no problem with this kind of stuff. So this kind of stuff's happening. If it's a brand name that is has multiple locations across city, states, and all over the place, I have no problem with people doing this. Seriously, I really don't. And some people say, well, you're for crime, Lex. No, I'm Robin Hood. And that's what I'm going to say on that. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. And if they have no counter tactics to deal with it, well, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. Well, they're going to start searching people's shoes because somebody brought a bomb on a shoe on a plane. They'll figure out some sort of thing to try and stop it or something. I don't even think this is happening as much as everybody thinks it is. Y'all are saying this is happening every day. That sounds absolutely bullshit. If there's a store that's getting hit with swarms every day, they will probably have police out there at some point guarding the hell out of it. So this whole idea that you guys are believing that swarmings are commonplace and happening every day, I think that's absolute horse crap. Seriously, that doesn't sound right. Mike's saying Blackhawk, they've been buying more locked cabinets and hiring more workers to help customers to get each item, raising the price of how much it takes to stock items. And then at the same time, maybe they could just shift those employees, Mike, from where we used to have cashiers, since nobody's doing that anymore, to they just guard the boxes in the store at this point. Yeah, well, they're cutting jobs because there's nobody at the cashier register anymore. So they can go guard the boxes instead. So it's not like they're hiring more people. They're cutting jobs, Mike. You're crazy. You think that they're hiring more people? No. They're finding every which way to not have to have people work. Because if they don't have to pay workers, well, it's great. A self-checkout's awesome. So come on. Think about what's going on here. Think about what's going on here. All right, y'all, we really do need to stop because my mom's sitting in front of me eating lunch and she's hearing my political diatribes. Okay. All right, let's see. All right. Where am I right now? You want me to cut it off? See, she's even making this sign to me like at the Oscars. You're done. You're done. All right, let me see. All right. I just want to make sure I get the couple of comments that I really do want to still read. Let's see. Blackhawk saying logical. I know Family Dollar used to be my customer. They had theft problems before swarming. I set up their purchase system. Okay. Wayne Strainer saying education socially is uncomfortable. Raptor Freak, allow yourself to be uncomfortable so you learn to think critically. That's right. I'm all about that. Thank you, Mischief, for the cutoff. Mike saying, Blackhawk, I know the lack of security at budget places, and they have had issues with theft from poor people, and that's the business equation. It's called slippage, but it can't get too high. Well, let's talk about the slippage from the top. Seriously, once again, Mike, it's a distraction to think about the bottom people stealing, and you need to look at the top. Seriously. And even if they call it, it's legalized and it's just bonuses or whatever, it's still stealing. Trust me. It's just the system is corrupt and it's messed up. Let's see. I understand what it takes to run a business, and I know issues. And yeah, the owner is greedy, but if the cost of things goes up from normal business, the CEO will still take their cut. That's business. Yeah, and that's the problem, Mike. And that's why this system is doomed to fail. And it's all going to go crashing down in a crazy like crash at some point. This is not a sustainable economic system that we live in right now. And either one or two things are going to happen. Either we're going to accept and bootlick, like you're saying right now, the overlords, the corporate overlords, and just become more and more of a dystopian society where we're absolutely ruled in every single way as far as what we can and do and say and what that, or we destroy this system that's unjust and we build a new one that has none of this kind of crap happening in it. It's the only two ways we can go, Mike. We're either heading towards dystopian dictatorship by corporate overlords, or we can try and do something and be anarchists and kind of upend the system in the right way, hopefully in a healthy way, a less violent way, and be able to change it. Now, it's not going to happen through the government. People would say, if you don't like the system, Lex, change it politically. Well, they've gamed the system. They bought it. And in some ways, there is going to need to be some sort of like French Revolution or something like that for things to change in the right way. That's the only way, two ways I see things happening. Either they can consolidate the corporate power even more and more so, and we become more and more like a crazy ass future where it's like 1984 and we just don't have the rights or the freedom that you think we have. We really won't. And then the other way is we just change the whole system, and we have to do it more humanitarian wise, and we have to change exactly what our morals and values are as humans. So it's really that simple. It's one or two ways. We're either going to be under corporate overlords, and who knows what that future looks like exactly. Maybe more people living outside in tents. Like that's the beginning, and more people will slip down into that. There'll be very, very few that live a gilded, like kind of nice life, and more of the majority of people will be very much in bad shape and bad places. So that's the way it's heading, Mike, because the greed is out of control. It really is. It really, really is. They take their cut. Well, that's not a just system, and it deserves to fail. Blackhawk saying logical. That's cool, but slippage applies everywhere. Swarming is post COVID. Yeah, yeah. And people aren't able to go as far with their dollars, and they're not getting pay increases. Well, they have to make ends meet some or another. Yeah, Mike's saying 1, 2, 3, 4 comments after this cut. And Blackhawk saying the right-wing media are also heavily reporting swarms by black youths. However, I've seen Caucasian swarming. Well, they'll hit as many targets as they can. They'll kill two birds with one stone. If they can make it seem like it's immigrants or minorities that are causing the swarmings, well, that just incites racial hate and makes people like more what they want as far as that. You got to understand that too, Mike, that in some ways they will do that as part of the side effect of that too. That you're afraid of criminals. Maybe you are afraid of black people more. Some people are because of that. So I'm not saying you. Let's see. And Wayne's saying at 63, I listen to hip hop and I listen to not just the music, but their conversations. Their influence is massive and their logic is kindergarten. Their arguments are similar to logical, quite dense. Yeah, I'm worried about the future too, because it's true. Chuck D has spoken very outspoken about this right now, that hip hop music just is not intelligent anymore. And they're not doing anything worthwhile like Public Enemy did in the past or KRS-One. There are so many different activist hip hop groups that really made a difference and changed society in different ways. Where are these groups now? They're too busy fighting with each other like Kendrick and Drake are. It's stupid. is somebody needs to use a platform and do this in the right way once again. But part of the problem is the music industry is messed up because it's all about this once again. It's not about artistry. It's not about originality. It's not about anything. In fact, they just want a certain sound and just a catchiness, and it's very hollow and shallow, and it's not very real anymore. So it's very hard to be a real musician that has morals and stands for causes and does stuff like that because they don't want that anymore. They don't even care if you're a good musician or have talent. If you have a look and you will just obey them, you're in the music industry at this point. It's sad and it's pathetic. And a band like Public Enemy may not be able to get anywhere in today's musical terrain as far as the industry at this point. And it's part of the problem right there. It's part of the problem right there. Mike saying, Wayne, the issues I'm talking about have been things since the dawn of business. More thefts equals higher prices to compensate for higher slippage. Well, that is economic capitalist right-wing propaganda one-on-one right there. You could go to economic school and you'll learn this bullshit. Listen, yeah, there's truth to what you're saying. But once again, I will tell you, you're talking about little piddly little bullshit. And when the theft is at the top, Mike, and I wish you would just listen to me there. Yeah. Neil's saying, I wouldn't call swarming isolated incidents since the police have PSAs about them. That makes it the current trend. Well, I don't know. In some ways, it doesn't affect me personally. So in my world, it doesn't matter. I don't give a shit about swarming. You guys can get all bent out of shape and worried about them because the police put a PSA out there. I won't. I don't care. Whatever. If nobody's getting hurt, as long as nobody's getting murdered, if some property's getting stolen, I don't care. That's all I got to say. In some ways, I'm a Buddhist. I don't put things into like property. I don't care about possessions. I'm not materialistic. It's the people that care about materialistic things and things like that that get all upset about this. In some ways, I don't give a shit if somebody's stealing stuff from people. I don't care. Go ahead, especially if it's a corporation. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And let's see. Mike's saying you can't take the ignorant route because behavior has to change to reduce the problem. Well, in some ways, I guess you're right. I would say this is the police's problem. We're paying the police. Well, they need to do their job and watch out for this a little bit better. Well, they'll probably figure out techniques for how to deal with this more as it continues to be a problem. So that's all it is. In some ways, the police will make PSAs like this to make them relevant for themselves. You know, police have a bloated budget. It's absolutely asinine. In some ways, they get money for military equipment that they should never have because they're police for a city and they're not trying to start a war. Why would the Toronto Police Department need a tank is what I'm asking. So in some ways, one of the things that they do, and this may be what y'all are falling into, is they'll make it seem like we're unsafe in our city more than we actually are. And we're not. We're very safe in the city of Toronto. Trust me. There's random shootings, sure. There may be swarming sometimes, but overall, the crime rate in Toronto is very good and we are not in danger. But to justify bloated police budgets, they'll make it seem like the city's unsafe. And that, yes, no, we can't defund the police because, we defund the police. No, there's going to be more crime. That's bullshit. In some ways, the police are an organized crime, just like any organized crime. They want more money and they need more money to justify it. They have to make the illusion that we are all unsafe and we should be afraid for ourselves. So I will say that any PSA coming out from the police sometimes is justifying them getting a better budget is what I'm saying. And I'm fully for defunding the police and changing those revenues to go to more humanitarian type agencies like counselors and people that will prevent crime by helping young people before they even become criminals. The criminals are made as youths because they come from places where they have nothing. And that's what it is that people don't realize. We can prevent crime by taking care of everyone equally. I'm serious. That's the biggest way to prevent crime and all issues in society are people taking care of their basic needs. That's just the pure damn truth. But the scarcity mindset of the capitalist and making the society the way it is allows for this kind of situation to be like this, where people fall through the cracks. They don't have anything for the table and they got to make desperate decisions to feed people. And that's what I'm saying right there. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. If stores are closing, swarming is an issue. Stores are closing for multiple reasons. Some of them are because of corporate restructuring and consolidation. Like they're closing Red Lobsters. They're not closing them because they went out of business. You know why they're closing Red Lobster? Because it was a business deal, a business acquisition by a big corporation, and they did it just to make money. They don't care about keeping Red Lobster open for us to eat. They just made a business deal, and they're going to close them because it's the right business deal. They don't care if we want it. They don't care about that. It's what's best for their business. So you can't say that these stores are closing necessarily because of theft. That's a right wing talking point. These places could be closed because the CEOs and the corporations are deciding that they want to shut these places down. You don't know the story for sure. That's a right wing talking point that you're promoting today, Mike, just so you know. Trevor's saying people get desperate when they can't feed their family and have no choice. See, Trevor's exactly right. That's it right there. Mike's saying the reduced cop budget is in New York, so cops can't do that. See, I'm still for defunding the police because in some ways the police are a fascist arm of the government. In some ways, the police overstep on freedom all the time. If the police did their job correctly and they did things in the right places, we wouldn't need so many of them. In some ways, they're just paid security guards to protect rich people's investments. And that's what they are. If police are really good at preventing crime, well, why don't they? They don't. They don't do that. Police are supposed to be there for the people. A lot of people forget the reason what police are for. They're for the public safety, and they're supposed to be here to serve and protect. And police aren't supposed to be here to be militarized and used against the people. They're not supposed to be used against protesters on college campuses. They're standing for Palestine right now. No, they're not. And that's part of the problem right there, Mike. The police budgets have been bloated, and they're going to tell you, oh, the problems with crime are because we're not getting as much money. No, that's all bullshit. Once again, that's all bullshit right there. If they funded other programs and better people like community supervisors, people that are like kind of like more like guidance counselors or probation officers or just like counselors that come out and help people with mental health, there's all kinds of different things we could fund that will help society better than just more police and more armor and more tanks and more like Ferrari police cruisers. For like some police departments down south in Florida, they'll buy a Ferrari or a Lamborghini and put lights on it because they want to promote police being cool to get more people involved. It's just a trumped up way to justify a really bad budget, to buy a high luxury vehicle that's like millions of dollars and put a light on it and stuff like that. They're doing stupid shit like that. It's a waste of money, honestly. It's a waste of money. Let's see. Blackhawk saying people with new cars are told to park them in their garage and keep the key fob in a foil bag, or parking old cars in front of new cars. Once again, a lot of this stuff is just, people trying to. I don't listen. If y'all want to be afraid of crime, go ahead. Go ahead and be afraid of crime. Crime's the same as it's always been. It's always going to be. Is whatever. We can reduce crime if we want to fix social problems by feeding everybody. But if you guys don't want to just believe that crime is the reason that everything is a problem, no, the problem is before crime and why people become criminals. And that will solve crime is there. You don't solve crime afterwards. You solve it by preventing it. And that's by not allowing people to become criminals in the first place because they're happy. It's that simple, guys. All right. Let's see. Blackhawk is saying also, all right, yeah, we really got to stop, guys. FYI, logical, when they are closing the stores, it's because the safety more than the theft. Insurance covers the theft, but the insurance goes sky high when public safety is involved. Okay, that's a good tidbit. Mike's saying the stores are closing from unsafe work environment too, because some thefts turning to robberies when certain violent thieves hurt people more. Yeah, once again, I'll say that this is crime syndicates. And in some ways, you guys are talking way too much about one specific thing, swarmings. I don't give a shit about this subject. I'm supposed to be talking about NBA owners today. How the hell did we get so focused on swarm robberies? And this isn't really an issue that I think is important to talk about, honestly. Nameless is saying, I'm a Buddhist too, with a great deal of respect for native spirituality also. I'm with you. I'm with you on that, Nameless, for sure. I would love to meet you next week and talk about this in person, Nameless. So I hope you could come to Monique's birthday party next week, 4:00 at the NBA restaurant on Saturday. Wayne saying, okay, I get logical. My lifestyle is cool and I'm not for the other side of mine. That's the hip hop attitude. Taxes are bad because I have money now. Selfish is good in that world. Yeah. And I'm with you, Wayne, on this one. I get this. In some ways, I mean, look, I could be this way real easy. It's like if it doesn't affect me, I don't give a shit about it. It doesn't bother me. And in some ways, I'm like that because I have to be just for my sanity. But there's big stuff that I should care about, even if it doesn't totally affect me. Racism doesn't totally affect me, but it does indirectly. But I really care a lot about people not being racist. And I've been an advocate against racism my whole entire life. But it's not like this is doing it selfishly for me. In some ways, I'm a white guy, but it doesn't matter. I know what's right and just. And that's why I stand against racism. So this is what I'm just saying. And y'all can be anti-theft and I stand against anti-theft. And that's why I stand this way. And I'll respect that, guys. It's just that I'm trying to tell y'all the real robbers are at the top. That's the main point I'm only trying to say in this whole dialogue today. That's right. And Mo's saying, why are we still on, Lex? Go rest. I feel good, actually. I'm not that bad right now, actually. Mike saying, or Neil saying, the police can't solve swarming because by the time they get there, the bastards are gone sometime. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to say about police. Police don't prevent crime because they can't be everywhere at every place at all times. They really can't. And that's part of the whole myth about policing. They're supposed to, you know what they do? They show up afterwards. They take a report. And if you're lucky, they'll do something for you afterwards. That is really true. It's not very often a police officer is around when a crime is happening and they can intercede right in the middle of it. That's bullshit. So the movies and TV and media make us think that policing is something totally different than what it really is. And we've got to understand that about this. Seriously. Let's see. And Blackhawk saying, let Logical have the store closing from swarming because that has been the answer companies come up with to deal with the safety issue. Yeah, I mean they're gonna try and put the blame on somebody else no matter what. I'm telling you, there may be more reasons than just the swarming why some of these companies have closed. The insurance thing does make sense. What you guys are saying though, Wayne's saying you guys would be amazed how many stores are fronts for money laundering. Big names, chains. Look at their financials. They are fronts for large families with illegal money made years ago. Probably right. I wouldn't disagree with what Wayne's saying here. I have a big feeling that this whole renovation of MLSE of the Scotiabank Arena that's happening this summer is a front for money laundering. I think that a lot of the work that they've done on Skydome in the last couple of years is money laundering. I think that the whole Therme thing with Doug Ford at Ontario Place is definitely a huge kind of weird thing that's going to have money laundering all over it. Oh, yeah. Wayne is right. Mike saying it's the behavior trend of swarming. People get hurt, prices go up, and then things don't change. The store closes. No CEO is so greedy to close certain stores that the business work fine. No, that's not true, Mike. That's not true. You're ignorant to the fact that they're closing good Red Lobsters right now just because the business decision and what they want to do. Yeah, Mike, I don't understand why you're so against the little guy and so defending the big guy. Seriously, think about whose team you're on. Seriously, I believe you're an underdog guy because you like the Raptors and you're logical Raptors fanatic. So I feel like you have a proclivity to root for the underdog. So why are you cheering for the big dog right now and stomping on the underdog right now? The big dog is the top. The little dog is the getting the blame and a distraction, and you're falling for it. You're running with this whole fear of swarming thing, and they have duped you. I'm telling you right now. That's what it is right there. Blackhawk saying, not afraid of crime, but understand how they are combating it. Yeah. Well, this is a problem. And, criminals are going to figure out things all the time. And they're going to have to figure out ways to combat it. And, well, this is just the new trend. There's been all kinds of weird crime trends that have been thrown at us in the media in the past that we're supposed to be, so scared about. And this just may be the latest one, guys. I just want y'all to know that. Mike's saying black-owned small businesses are getting swarmed in the same way. You just don't hear about the less trending closures. Well, once again, I don't know how prevalent this actually is. If I don't have stats in front of me, if I don't have that whole thing, I'm just going to believe that you guys are taking fringe incidents and blowing them up just like the right-wingers want you to. So I'm for logic-built system where everyone has a chance to rise. I'm for with that too. I want everybody to have a good chance to do it. In fact, you know what? We don't even need to do this anymore. Mike, there's enough wealth and enough abundance of food and housing for everybody to be taken care of. And that's why I'm saying we just have a baseline of taking care of people from the bottom. And, people can still have jobs and make money and do whatever they want, but everybody should be taken care of. And people that think that it's going to make people lazy and not want to do stuff, that's absolute horse crap. People will get bored and they will innovate. In fact, some of them may not do traditional jobs where they have to make a wage, but they'll do something that, like what I'm doing on this channel, where it adds something of beauty or something to society that's not necessarily around money. You know, like the Renaissance period of humanity was great because people could do arts and they didn't have to worry about feeding themselves. So if we went to UBI, universal basic income, and everybody had their house and their food paid for, we would see a renaissance of arts and culture and literature and all kinds of creative endeavors that would be amazing. And it would progress humanity past the bullshit that we're in right now. That is what I would like to see happen. UBI, so that if you want to work, you have the choice. Some people say, well, Lex, what's going to get done if nobody's going to work? Well, AI is here, my guy, and mechanization. And there's all kinds of things that are replacing jobs anyway. So what are we going to do? Are they going to be jobs? Well, how are we going to take care of ourselves? UBI is the answer. And in some ways, people will say, well, that's going to drive up costs if we're doing handouts. No, it's not, because we need to have a better system of price fixing so that they're not gouging us, because that's what they're doing. It's not about economics and it takes this amount to run the business to pay for it. And then we have to make this money to pay to do this. It's not about that. It's about greed. Once again, I'm telling you, the top has gotten too greedy at this point is what it is. Yeah. Let's see. Neil saying Logical is only talking about swarming. Red Lobster's bankruptcy. Yeah, but I'm just saying it's an example. It doesn't matter if the business is good and people like it. They will close stuff just because they want to close stuff. They don't care if we like it or not. They don't care if we like Red Lobster. They're going to close it. And some of these cases with these closers, I don't know if it's exactly because of swarming. You guys are saying it's because of swarming, but that's only because they're telling you it's because of that. That's what I'm trying to say. And he's saying, Neil, facts. That's a different. Hard Rock went bankrupt too. Restaurants got hit hard from COVID. Yeah. And he's saying, no customer has gotten physically hurt and the police tell them to stay out of it. Who gets hurt is the employees when they lose their jobs. Yeah, whatever. I mean, listen, every specific situation is going to be difficult. I'm not going to try and solve this swarming issue because I really don't know much about it. And once again, I don't think this is as important as y'all wanted me to talk about it today. So anyway, with all due respect, guys, I appreciate you. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Today's stream was supposed to be about NBA owners and the dubiousness about whether they're good people or not. Some of the owners are very philanthropic and are amazing people, true fans of the NBA and their teams. And they really mean well. And they are like us, but they get to run the team. They're awesome. People like Mark Cuban and Ryan Smith and Matt Ashiba, Joe Tsai. But then there are also very gross right-wing people that have a lot of money that own NBA teams that are doing a lot of disgusting things. And they make money off of their NBA team to supplant paying people like Trump for re-election. So yeah, that's something that's annoying and dubious. Donald Sterling is a great example of a horrible NBA owner. He's not the only one. There's many of them still involved in the NBA to this day. That's right. It is a complex issue, guys, for sure. And I appreciate you guys. Even if we didn't totally agree today, at least we got a lot of different sides on different topics out there today. If anything, just me speaking my truth and talking to you guys in y'all's truth, we got an open dialogue of respect and talking about this stuff in a way that kind of just inform people a little bit more. And that's a great thing in itself. All right, tomorrow, Monday Moment, a lot more lighthearted, a little bit more on the basketball. We'll talk about Jakob Poeltl and his camp in Vienna tomorrow on the Monday Moment, 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Let's go Raptors. Let's go little guy. Be Robin Hood. Don't be the sheriff of Nottingham defending King John. No, don't be the sheriff of Nottingham. Be Robin Hood. That's who you should be. Let's go Raptors. Let's go Raptors.